What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Pure Evil. Oh, Evil Intoxicated. Fooled ya. Fooled ya. Now, welcome back, guys. Wednesday night here from the East Coast of Pennsylvania. And we got a great show set up for everybody. I'm joined by our co-host every week, Ted Czech. What's going on, Ted?
Hey, Eddie. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, trying to hang in there, man. You know what's going on over here, but just for the listeners, I mean, I've been pretty sick lately. Getting a little migraine and trying to bust through the show with a little Emitrol I have to take every 15 minutes, bottle of water. And,
that's insane.
And some light food, some gummies and stuff like that. So I'm going to truck through it. And I told my girlfriend before I came on, I was like, I really feel awful, but what would JR do? What would Joe Rogan do? So,
what would Joe Rogan do?
What would Joe Rogan do? So, or what would Schaub do? You know what I mean? I got to come in here. I got to kind of like keep that same energy. Luckily, I got you here to help me along in truck through tonight here, Ted. I really appreciate it.
We'll get through it, man. We will.
So we got a special guest for tonight, Ted. Who do we got joining us?
Dennis Superman Hallman, former UFC fighter, actually had a long and storied career. He's the only guy to ever submit Matt Hughes twice. He now manages and trains fighters. Well, I don't know if he manages per se, but he definitely trains and corners fighters out of Washington State. So and there was an incident in India that happened recently, and so we're gonna go through all that with him and talk about what the UFC was like when he was there and what it is now and all the differences. And so I'm really excited for it. It'll be at the top of the next hour, right? About 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and guys, if you're listening to the podcast right now, we do the show live every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time if you're here on the East Coast. If you're over there in California, of course, you're 3 hours behind us, so it's kind of a little earlier in the day, so I guess that's a little more convenient. But I brought this up on Pure Evil MMA, Ted. I want to address it here with our audience. As soon as the Ultimate Fighter breaks through, and there's been some breaking news about that we got to touch on later on in the show, me and Ted are going to figure something out for everybody so we can kind of do like a recap every week of the Ultimate Fighter because there's a lot of fighters that we know we're familiar with, and it's going to be a good one. So we're going to make a couple of changes here with the time.
Right, we are. I don't know what those changes are going to be. We got to hash through it, but we will, and when we do, we'll let everybody else know. And
that's going to be an exciting season. I've been following Twitter. You know how big I am on there. A lot of people are saying this is going to be their first tough season. So it kind of shows me like how many new fans there really are out there that we really picked up in 2016 alone. It blows my mind. Yeah. So just a little virgins. Yeah, exactly. Just a little preview of today's show, guys, what you guys are in for. We're going to touch on Bisping. Of course, he's a big talk this week. Everything that happened this weekend, GSP, Eddie Bravo thing. UFC 209, that was a huge talk going around this weekend. Me and Ted are going to address it. Yep. Finally, you guys get to hear what me and Ted think about it. And then we got Fight Night coming up with Vitor Belfort against Kelvin Gastelum, which is going to be free. And if it's free, it's for Ted.
It's for me. And it's for you.
And it's for me. If it's free, it's for me. Ben Rothwell, there's some breaking news about him going on. There's a lot of great signed fights that we're going to get to. And like Ted said, we got a special guest for tonight. But Ted, what a weekend I had, man. Starting off my Friday night, going to Foxwoods to see Lion Fight 35. An absolute adventure it was for me. Everyone that followed me on Instagram and everything, the tags are right down below. But Smokin' Joe Nadawa, and you're familiar with who he is. He's huge in the Muay Thai scene. He goes in there to defend his title. Literally broke his opponent's leg, it looked like, in the third round. It was so brutal, Ted. One of the best in the game.
The highlights. I haven't seen them. I gotta watch the highlights, man.
So anyone out there that wants to see the highlights after you hear everything that happened, I'm sure you will. Just go to Access TV, their YouTube page, and they're right there. Go to @PureEvilMMA on Facebook or our Twitter page, and it's up there. But we had some great seats, Ted, right there in press row. I actually got joined by Colby the Prodigy, who trains under Gabriel Gonzaga. He helped me out for the night with pictures and social media, so shout out to him. Nice. And another one that stood out on the card that really reminded me of Carrie, the big 80s movie, Jerry Seitz versus Andra Aho. So Andra Aho came over to the United States for her first time, man, for a Muay Thai fight under the Lion Fight banner. Goes in there against Jerry Seitz, who's a huge veteran with like over 50 fights. And you got Andra Aho's like her first 10, 15 fights in there. She was getting beat up, but she landed one swift elbow that was so sharp it cut open a huge gash on her forehead. Her face was literally so bloody. I'll pull it up for you guys in a little bit here.
Okay. So I figured somebody was just covered in blood.
Yeah. It was brutal. They ended up having to call the fight, even though that she was winning. After the third round, it was like, this is too much. It was getting a little too much for TV, if you know what I mean.
Man.
Well, you know what the argument is, Ted? They used to just, if there was a girl that had blood on her face, they would immediately cut it off the air back in the day. They don't like seeing stuff like that, you know?
Well, I mean, hey, you know, it's fighting. Whether it's women or whether it's men, in my mind at least, it's fighting.
Well, they're getting a new respect now.
Right. A doctor or a ref should treat a woman the same as they should treat a man. You know, treat them equally. I mean, if they're getting in the cage, that's it. They're agreeing to the same set of rules. So I don't agree with that. You know, I've said it many times. You know, when I watch women fight, I just think of it as, I just see it as a fight.
Yeah.
I forget that they're women. I'm just like, oh, this fight, I want this fighter to win, or I want that fighter to win, and how are they going to do it? And you know, I just get into the fight, and I just totally forget, you know, what the gender of the person is.
Oh, there's a whole new respect out there amongst fans that have a whole new outlook on the female fighting. And every time they step up, it's like they got to prove something, man. And it's something like it's on the line. So it's always a good fight. Always top 3 fights of the night usually, which is why I wasn't mad about this weekend with the fight being moved up. Of course, the cancellation of Khabib Nurmagomedov later in the week. We didn't really break it on our show last week, Ted. You know, Khabib Nurmagomedov getting called off that card. So they had to move up the female fight, Amanda Bobby Cooper against Cavillo. So I wasn't too mad about that. So getting back to the lion fights over there, man. Jafar Toshav, who I got to speak with before the fights on K-Side Submissions, he was going in there as a huge underdog against Team Yayo's Jason Verdugo. Spinning back fist knockout, man. The whole night was just full of finishes. It was awesome.
Nice. Gotta love that.
So just a shout out to those guys over there at Lion Fights. I actually got to sit next to Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard, Mike Garcia. Who's
Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard.
The Michael Jackson? Wow, man.
Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard. So it was pretty cool. Ted, let's jump right into the show here. I mean, what'd you do this weekend? And then we'll jump into some MMA news.
Well, let me tell you. I'll just tell you something that happened to me like a couple of nights ago, a couple of nights ago. You know, Jonathan Snowden?
Yeah, of course.
Not Edward Snowden, not the CIA, the whistleblower from the CIA who now lives in Russia, I think. But this guy Jonathan Snowden. I had a little Twitter war with him, with this cat, and because he had said something about Stipe Miocic. He said something dumb about him or whatever, and so then I jumped in. Not that I was trying to be a white knight, you know, because Stipe doesn't need that, right? Stipe doesn't need this schlub to be a white knight.
Here comes Ted.
Yeah.
Here comes Ted.
Hey, what are you saying about Stipe? No, but
I just get out.
I kind of just wanted to jump into something, and you know, when you do that, sometimes you might come off looking dumb, but I don't care. And so, because he said, well, the only thing that people know about Stipe is that he's a firefighter. And I'm like, yeah, you might be forgetting the whole heavyweight champion thing, huh? I'm world champ! I'm world champ! I'm world champion! Right? So we started going, it kind of devolved into like this insult throwing thing. But then it got to the point where he was like begging me to stop harassing him. You know, I guess I kind of
took it too far, Ted.
He's a bit of a snowflake, you know, but he did say, "Oh, I see you have a podcast. Good luck with that." You know, like all haughty, and you know, so I'm like, "Well, I see you got one too." But actually, he just changed it. Like he was doing something called the two-way dance, but now he's got something new called MMA curmudgeons, like two old dudes, like the two old dudes they had in the Muppets.
Yeah, the peanut gallery. In the peanut gallery.
Yeah. It's like that, the MMA curmudgeons. I just gave him some free press, so he should kiss my ass for that.
No, he's always on the front lines on Twitter. I've seen him get into fights with people before. I know who he is, of course. If you follow MMA, you know who that guy is. But you don't care, Ted. You don't care. You go right in for it.
I guess he couldn't handle it. He can't handle my rhythm, as GSP would say.
Well, you know what the firefighters say: if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, he was like, oh, do I have to report you or something? You know, I'm like, all right, dude, I'll take the high road and leave you alone then, you pansy.
That's pretty funny, Ted. And of course, isn't the first time if somebody blocks you on Twitter, right?
Actually, he didn't block me. So
I respect that. I like guys like that.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he didn't, but I'm surprised. But props to him for not blocking me.
Ted, you know what I'm surprised about? I'm surprised he doesn't know who you are. Is what really surprises me.
No, I'm not. Who the hell am I? You know, Angie. How you doing?
Get out of the kitchen.
I said that.
Firefighter.
I said the firefighter say if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
You didn't say kitchen, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Hi, Dad.
She's snooping on our show from the other room, Dad. She's all lowering the TV, listen to us. She's a big fan, obviously. She's in the other room watching the live stream on her phone.
I hope she's a big fan.
That's funny. Angie jabs everybody. She'll be here till Thursday.
Yeah.
Try the veal.
Make sure to tip your waitresses.
All right, so Ted,
yeah,
let's jump right into some MMA topics here. Of course, Michael Bisping, huge front runner of what pretty much everybody has been talking about towards the past couple of really the past year. I mean, he came in as my fighter of the year last year with everything that he did, and now he gets his matchup against GSP. He's got a lot going for him, man.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just writing to Asho. You asshole. That's saying I'm glad he's here.
And welcome to the chat room. You guys kind of are like the third wheel here, is the third co-host, I guess, so to say. So anything you guys want to ask us, questions, we're here all night.
Oh, hey, Eastside Rider, my buddy from YouTube, he's saying Snowden got into it with me too. It was nothing, but it was stupid. I suspect he's trolling. I unfollowed, but it's not what I'm there for. Good conversation is more rewarding. And that's that's entirely true. But I think I was trolling him just as much, if not more, than he was me. And finally, he had the shits of it. But anyway.
Well, Ted,
yes.
Just quickly on that, man, he makes a great point about that, because you might kind of fess up to it. But I always say, man, the sport of MMA, we all have a love for it. It's the one thing we all share.
Right.
So there's no need to get personal about things. I hate when people one up. So for him to be like, "Oh, I see you have a podcast," like, come on, bro, really?
Well, I added that accent. I don't know.
You have a podcast.
Oh, you have a podcast. Oh, I have a blue check mark and you don't.
Well, another thing we got to mention here, Ted, is it's hard to understand everybody's tone through social media as well. So we're kind of among deaf ears with that kind of.
I think I'm right, though. I think I'm right.
we just got to mention that does happen sometimes. I'm guilty of that.
I have 20,000 followers and you only have 6,000 followers. So there, you peon.
There you go, guys. Some more impressions from Ted. Ted, I got some answers on, or some letters from our fans on Podbean that loved your accent. So let's keep that up here.
Cool.
All right, so we got a perfect thing to jump into here with Michael Bisping, if you want to pick up his accent. But Ted, what's going on with Bisping this week, brother?
Couple of things, yeah, a couple of reasons why I think we decided to lead with this. First of all, they signed the fight between Bisping and GSP for Bisping's middleweight title. So GSP jumping up 15 pounds to go immediately for that middleweight title after 3.5 years off, 3.5 years on the shelf. So they have this presser prior to the weigh-ins for UFC 209, and Bisping, I think, was already going in with a huge chip on his shoulder. Now, scratch that, 2x4 on his shoulder, because I was reading somewhere, he was pissed because he thought that his perception was that GSP looked at Bisping as the easiest target, as a guy that he could beat with the least amount of effort, He didn't want to go after the welterweight title. He decided he would jump up 15 pounds and go after the 185 guy because it was going to be easier, and so Bisping was pissed at that.
Which, if you look at that, I mean, it kind of would look that way, right, though?
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I'm not saying it is that way, but it could look that way for sure.
It's one way to look at it, but also I think GSP maybe was looking at it like, hey, this is a fresh start. And
here's something to bitch about. Here's something to start the fire up, right?
Yeah. It's a fresh start. And you know what? Cutting down from 195 to 170 is a bit much. So I'm gonna go with 185. I don't really know. I honestly don't know his motivation for it. I don't know if he's said anything. I haven't read anything. Have you? I haven't read the reasons why, but I think maybe it boils down to he wants a fresh start and maybe he's tired of cutting all the weight. But Bisping certainly took offense to it. So he was just after GSP that entire presser. But to me, what pretty much negated all of that, what just threw all that shit out the window, was when GSP just kind of very calmly and kind of subtly said, "I smell alcohol."
I'm so happy you brought that up.
I mean, yeah, that just
Michael,
to me that was like,
alcohol.
I smell alcohol. Like that just blew everything to shit for Bisping. All the crap that he talked, in my mind at least.
Yeah, well, of course, this really does set up a huge promotional fight. I think that was another reason of going with that. I mean, of course, the argument was, you're going to have to reintroduce GSP, which really is a crock of shit, if you ask me. But if you're going to pick a fighter that can really help with the promotion side of the fight, Bisping's a great pick for that. And you can count on Bisping to really deliver every time he has a fight with the shit talking. So this really matches up as kind of the good guy role for GSP here. And GSP, I mean, making his return, there was a special moment this weekend on UFC Embedded of him walking back into the octagon after 3 years away. And
I saw that.
Back to the jungle, or like welcome back to the jungle, or something like that. Man, it was a nice little moment here in our MMA timeline.
Yep, yeah, he took his suit jacket off, but he was still dressed up and everything, but just moving around and everything. I mean, he looks smooth, he looks slick, and nimble on his feet. So, let's see, who was Rusty is saying GSP is going to get KO'd. Dana made that fight to shut him up. That's very interesting. That's an interesting perspective. I don't know. I mean, I got to say, I mean, at least preliminarily, I'm leaning towards GSP on this one, believe it or not. I know he's moving up in weight and everything like that, but I mean, when the two of them came together, there was really only about an inch, maybe an inch and a half in between them as far as height. People say Bisping's 6'1". I don't know about that, unless GSP had lifts in his shoes, because there was only about an inch and a half difference between them.
Yeah, a lot of people were waiting for that moment for them to kind of size up there, and that really has been the talk of this week. But we don't really know what to really make of it until we see the weigh-ins and how they look then. We don't know if anyone's dehydrated or you know what I mean there, Ted. So
there's all sorts of factors that'll come into play, yeah. But
he's also drunk and dehydrated. You know what I mean?
So Bisping has a new podcast, Believe You Me, and he didn't add the buddy. Hey buddy, hey buddy.
Believe You Me, buddy.
But he didn't add that part. But on his new podcast, apparently he said, hey, look, I don't have a fight coming up anytime soon, so I'm getting my drink on.
Yeah.
Well,
that's another thing we need to announce.
Okay.
There is no date. This is like the first time the UFC's ever really announced a fight without a date to it.
Yeah, they just said late this year. So, I mean, that could mean what? September,
July.
October, November, December.
And they said it's not going to be International Fight Week either.
All right. Eddie just took a little...
Emetrol, trying to get through the show.
Your milk of magnesia.
Emetrol for nausea. And no, we are not sponsored by them yet.
Maybe after tonight, though.
Yeah, maybe. Emetrol, get your fix. All right, so another big thing that came up this week, Ted, was the whole Eddie Bravo thing. I don't really want to show it too much credit because it really only is just a photo, and we can take a lot out of a photo. We don't really know exactly what the story is.
Oh, it was a video too, dude.
Okay, so Ted, do you want to run everyone up on that?
Yeah, man. So I think it looked like it occurred in like a hotel lobby or maybe in a casino, something like that. But it was in Las Vegas, and it was during that weekend, last weekend. I guess it was during the MMA World MMA
Awards
or whatever. I don't really pay that too much I don't give too much attention to that. But anyway, yeah. So the two of them are standing there, and I guess Bisping was mad because he, I guess Eddie Bravo said that he was an improved fighter, that he had brought some things up in his game, and Bisping perceived that as, oh, what was I crappy before? You know, was I not a good fighter before? You know what I mean? So there was a slight, but to me, it's just you look at the confrontation with GSP, and then this thing with Eddie Bravo, and to me, my conclusion is this guy's really insecure. You know,
Bisping. I mean, you're talking about Bisping.
He's an insecure individual. Yes, he is, because anything that anyone says, it's okay. All right, here's what it's like. Okay, say you're looking at a girl, right? She's with her boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. You look at the girl. The boyfriend goes, "Oh, you looking at my girl?" And you go, "No, man. I ain't looking at your girl." And he goes, I would never look at your girl." "What do you mean you wouldn't look at my girl? You mean she's ugly?" "No, I'm not saying she's ugly. I think your girlfriend's good looking." "Well, you think she's good looking? What are you saying?" You know, it's like you can't say anything nice about Bisping, because he's gonna look at it in a way that he perceives as an insult.
I totally see what you're saying, but I don't know enough about this situation or anything like that to really get a good hand and a fair shake on it. But at the same time, Ted, what's going on? No, it's all right. But at the same time, though, Ted, Bisping is a colorful character. He's a colorful character. I mean, and afterwards, they both got along. They hugged. They kind of shook it off as, you know, whatever. So it was kind of just like this moment on social media that really just blew up. To me, that's what it seemed like.
Well, I mean, see, when I look at the background of things, when you look at the history, okay, yeah, he had the knockout of Luke Rockhold, but since that time, Bisping's been under a lot of criticism. You know, the Hendo fight.
Like Woodley has been as well.
Well, for different reasons, yeah. But the Hendo fight, well, not everybody, but a lot of people thought that, I for one, was okay with that fight, but a lot of people, fight came under scrutiny. Like, no way in hell should Hendo be fighting Bisping for the title. So he came under scrutiny for that. He didn't even finish Hendo, right? It was a unanimous decision. And then the Anderson Silva fight, a lot of people thought that fight was a crock.
How are you not giving Bisping credit for any of these fights? I don't get that.
Right? So there's been a lot of criticism of Bisping as of late, and I think it may be starting to weigh on him. I think it, you know, I don't think
those people will never go away. For as long as we're here, there will always be those naysayers that are. Look at Conor McGregor. Look at everything Conor McGregor has achieved. There are still people doubting that guy. So if there's still people doubting that guy, there's going to be people doubting Bisping. There's going to be doubting Ted. There's going to be people doubting me. And that's just how it is.
No, that's fine. But it's the way that the different approaches that fighters have towards it. Like Conor doesn't give a shit, and he's just going to forge ahead, and you know he's got an impenetrable you know, confidence. Whereas Bisping, it seems, is a little bit more butthurt by it.
Bisping's on top of the world right now. He's just starting shit for no reason.
You think so?
He's just having a good weekend out. He's picking on Eddie.
You think he's just practicing his acting chops for his next movie, huh?
I'm actually interested to go see that movie. I think he'd be good in that movie, that Triple X movie.
Oh no, it looks like a great performance. Yeah,
I can't wait to see that. But for anyone out there that's discrediting Bisping, you know, I do have his back there. But I understand what you're saying here, Ted, and I'm just not surprised. I mean, for all of us that are familiar with him, I mean, that doesn't really surprise. It was just like another little moment that just blew up on social media for me. But I totally understand your point there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just me. Just, you know, looking at everything as a whole, I think he's coming off, at least. He's coming off as an insecure dude. Hey, let's throw it over to the chat room for a little bit.
All right.
East Side Rider, I smell alcohol. Invalidates everything Bisping said. Yes, that was what I was trying to say, and that just states it far more concisely and succinctly. Good move by the Canadian. Yeah, it was classic line. Ann says, just 2 blocks away from me, there was a shooting in my neighborhood.
Woo! Ann's living in a rough neighborhood between the storms, the shootings, everything.
Wow. Ann, I'm glad you're safe, and yeah, I hope you stay safe.
That's a scary thing, Ann. That's a scary thing.
Oh, okay. And she said, okay, so apparently there was an arrest. They got the person who was shooting.
Let me bring this up on this note here, Ted.
Yes.
For everybody in the chat, or maybe this will make Ann feel a little bit better. When I was growing up as a kid, the night before school, I was hanging out with my dad. It was late at night playing video games in New Haven at the house. All of a sudden, we hear helicopters flying over our house, right? We look out the front door, and 2 dudes are running down our road. There's a helicopter flying over, and me and my dad were like, what the hell? The next morning, it was all over the news. The next morning, they arrested one guy, and somebody found the other dude at the end of my street dead because apparently the cop shot him, and he ran as far as he could before he bled out. So I was like, crazy for me when I was a kid to like go to school the next day with like that night on my back. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, what a story you had to tell.
A bus stop story. The bus stop story.
Man. Yeah, so Eastside Rider saying, can you imagine if Chuck Liddell and Bisping were active in the same era? Rusty then answers with, Chuck could still beat Bisping. I'm guessing to this day. Wow. And then Ann said, never count Bisping out.
Don't count the count out, right?
No, that's true. Don't count the count out. No,
I'm not out. There you go, Ann. I love it.
I'm not counting it. Ann has her favorites. She loves Cowboy, loves Bisping, and that's cool. But I'm not counting him out. I'm kind of leaning towards GSP at this point.
Well, all in all, at the end of the day, Ted, I love Bisping. I love the color that he brings into our sport here, especially in the UFC.
Oh yeah,
he's just another guy that we look forward to seeing his story unravel here. And you were even saying last week, if he beats GSP, we might be able to consider him a GOAT.
Well, somebody brought that up in a forum I was on.
Yeah.
That was the question. Hey, look, he beat Anderson Silva, whether you agree or don't. It was a win. So he beat Anderson Silva. If he beats GSP, what does that kind of talk start? Not saying that he is, should be on the Mount Rushmore of MMA, but does that kind of talk start? Because
he's had a fun career, man. He's had a fun career to look back on. Win or lose, it's been a fun ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and to come back from that eye injury, I mean, his eyes kind of, but he can still fight. So see, I can do that.
Which makes it even crazier, Ted. I mean, this guy's going in there. If you see what he looks like at the end of his fights compared to his opponent, you wouldn't know who won. You'd be like, that guy won?
Well, yeah, he's a bit of a bleeder, but, he's a warrior.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'd like to see a little maybe grappling match between, or maybe EBI with Bisping and Eddie Bravo one day, maybe something like that, just to get to the end of it for everybody out there. But really the story is, Ted, that they left off fine after that moment happened there.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good. Hug it out, bitch. Right?
All right, so let's jump into our weekend here, Ted. UFC 209 going in the books. Let's start right from the top. Of course, I think that's the best place to start here.
Absolutely. Being on top is good. Being on bottom is not so bad either. Anyway, Woodley and Wonder Boy. Yeah, Woodley and Wonder Boy. That was that was a shit show for a lot of people. What to say about it? I mean, it was a very tactical fight, and I think it's it was a chess match, but it was a boring ass fight. Let's just be honest. It was a snooze fest in a lot of ways. But I think it was kind of like a pair of old shoes. You know what I mean? The old shoes, you're used to them, and these guys are so used to each other. I think they know each other so well that
they're just magnetizing each other.
I think I think it's difficult for them to fight each other because they know each other so well, and they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but for whatever reason they weren't able to exploit those, except in very, very small amounts.
Well, let's get this done. Do you think that Woodley did enough to get the win? Let me really touch on that, Ted. I think that he did. I was a little shocked at first, but really, Woodley's the one who really inflicted a little more damage and was able to get takedowns. Wonderboy was really just point fighting there. I mean, you got to beat the champ, right?
Yeah, Well, okay. Well, to answer your question, no. In a word, no. I disagree because Wonder Boy got rounds 1, 2, and 4.
That's exactly what I scored it too when I was watching it live.
So if Woodley won 3 and 5, that's 3 rounds to 2. Therefore, Wonder Boy wins, right? Even if you were to give a 10-8.
That last round, the 5th round, was a 10-8.
I don't consider that a 10-8.
10-8 should be a rare thing. That wasn't a 10-8 round.
Well, if you go by the new rules, which
aren't in play,
Las Vegas has not adopted them yet. But if you go by the new rules, if you see a 10-8, you give a 10-8. So it's what that's saying is, you should be almost not necessarily. You should if you think a 10-8, you should give a 10-8, not like, oh my God, it's so rare. I could never think of giving a 10-8. So, but that was like the last 20 seconds of the round. He knocked one boy down. That to me is not a 10-8 means dominance for at least half the round or more. You've got to have dominance. I believe is how it goes.
So if you're gonna give that round a 10-8, why did they not give Bisping Hendo round 1 a 10-8 is the question, right? I mean, that was more dominant performance than what Woodley had. But Ted, I totally kind of understand the way that the judges really scored it when I was looking at their scorecard. I didn't think that Wonder Boy really did enough damage at all on Woodley. And Woodley kind of seemed really patient, really shy. And we saw that in their first fight. It was like the same exact thing almost.
Well, yeah, I mean, damage, okay, yeah, fine, but damage doesn't carry over from one round to the next.
Yeah, this isn't Pride, yeah.
Right. You don't, Pride, they judge the fight as a whole.
As a whole.
But this is round by round. This is a 10-point must system. This is round by round. So let me add it up then. If you say so 3 rounds to 2, that's 48 to what? Blah, 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 if I could, 48 to 47. For Wonder Boy, right? But if you were to give a 10-8 to Woodley, then that would be another draw. That would be 47-47. See?
See?
See? You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna show you. So, but the guy who scored it. But check this out. You saw this. You read about this. The one judge that scored it 47-47, he was chastised. He said. That's in I guess one of the officials for the Nevada Athletic Commission said no, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have scored it that way. You shouldn't have given a 10-8 to the last round. I think that was where he came under scrutiny.
Which
so, you know what I'm saying? So okay, so if it's not a draw, then and if you scored it 3 rounds to 2 with no 10-8, then Wonder Boy wins. And Dana White said Wonder Boy was the winner, right?
Yeah, before we jump into that, I mean, a lot of people were like, oh my God, is this really going to be a draw again? Because as they were announcing it, it was like 47-47. I was like, oh my God, here we go again. My stomach dropped. And at the end of the day, Ted, last time I'm going to say it, let's not run this one back. Let's move on now. I think Maya probably should have got that second shot. The first fight, I think Woodley definitely won that fight compared to this one. Without a doubt, I think Woodley definitely won their first fight. And the second fight, when I was scoring it, it did seem like Wonder Boy had the upper hand. As it went back, which you're against, and I'm pretty much against myself, I did understand how they did score it for Woodley.
Yeah, so, I mean, as of right now, Wonder Boy... I did read, in an interview, he said he would like to fight him again. But, I mean, well, I mean, let the guy string together a number of wins.
You said it perfectly, Ted. It's almost like a magnet. They know each other so well that anytime they're trying to go in for something, they're like, oh, no, back off. You got to really wait for that little hole to really slip through.
I mean, look at Wonder Boy. He said, my problem for the first fight was I didn't let my hands go. What happened in the second fight? He didn't let his hands go. I mean...
And there we go. Let's jump right into Dana White. That's exactly what Dana White was saying. He was like, you told everybody you were going to do it, and you didn't. You
didn't do it, no. But nevertheless, Dana White did say that he thought that Wonder Boy should have won the fight. Based on the scoring, based on the way that he was scoring the fight, 3-2.
There was a moment that they caught on their UFC Snapchat page, and of course photographers that were there caught it as well. But when Dana White walked into the cage, the fight was about to be called. Dana White was kind of chatting it up with Wonder Boy there. Woodley kind of looked a little nervous at that moment. I was like, oh my, what's about to happen? He was this close, man, this close. He thought he had it. He seemed pretty upset, Wonder Boy, that he didn't get it. And even let's not shy away from this. It did seem like Woodley wasn't really sure that he won this.
Well, what do you think about what's happened since then? The fallout between Dana White and Woodley. They're still going at it with each other. So, Woodley's saying, "Oh well, Dana White should get in the cage then." So
these guys have been bashing heads for a while. Dana White before this, Ted reported on his page. They were pretty much going at it, saying that he's a drama queen. It was like takes one to know one. And then going into this, and then Dana White to say that in public, which he shouldn't have said in public. He should have just let it fly by, really, because he's kind of bossy. Doesn't it seem like that's like...
Dana White doesn't let anything fly by. Yeah, Dana White will tell you exactly what's on his mind at all times, about anyone. So not surprising to me, but... every now and then you kind of stop yourself and you're like, why is he doing that? Why is he talking shit about the people who make him money? I don't know. I can't figure it out. That's just the way he is. That's his persona. You know what I mean? He's just raw. That's just the way he is.
Yeah, it doesn't rub off well on other people, and especially doing that to your fighters. I mean, I definitely have an issue with that. And I kind of love it, though. I love that they clash heads. I do find it somewhat amusing. And really, it's not like these two really hate one another. It's kind of mutual, a thing that they kind of have there.
I mean, it makes you wonder, like, is it real?
Yeah.
Is it real or is it Memorex? No, is it real or is it more of a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mr. McMahon type of thing? The employee versus the boss. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because Dana White was there. Where did he took Tyron Woodley as his date to the Super Bowl? You know what I mean? So is it really that bad between them?
Well, there was a moment like before the fight where Tyron was doing his Instagram or whatever, and Dana was next to him, and it was like, oh, here's the drama queen, and that's when that moment happened. We're like, oh, it takes one to know one. So it does seem a little comical. So it definitely does seem like that, and I hope it is that. I hope these dudes really don't hate one another. It just doesn't look good for Dana White, really, right? It doesn't look. I'm not surprised Tyron Woodley's angered at that. I mean, it's not like constructive criticism. This is your boss saying it. So it's like you kind of take offense to it.
Well, Tyron Woodley's got a thing with race, right? He likes to throw around racism, this, racism, that. And Dana White's last name is White, for God's sake. I mean, I would be surprised if...
But he has a woman's first name.
I mean, well, yeah, but if his name was Dana Black, Tyron Woodley would be his best buddy.
Oh, what a line. What a quote from you right there, Ted.
You know what I'm saying? Seriously. So, anyway... on that note, I'm looking forward to Maia versus Masvidal because, as we've said before, pretty much that is going to give us, as long as GSP doesn't turn around and decide that he wants to fight, that he wants to jump in there, then whoever wins Maia versus Masvidal is going to fight Woodley next. And we're going to get a different look. We're going to get a totally different fight than what we've seen with Woodley versus Wonderboy.
So
totally.
What?
Go ahead.
All right, so this definitely surprised both me and Ted when this news came about. Damian Maia taking this fight against Jorge Masvidal. We broke it on last week's show. But in case this is your first time hearing this or breaking out, Damian Maia was next. He was even supposed to be before Wonderboy was, and they kind of decided for Wonderboy to go in there even after that chess match that he had with Rory McDonald. I mean, Damian Maia's been going in there and just literally laying dudes to sleep, just one after another, just putting it together. Yep. Now he takes this fight, instead of waiting for the week to pass, he takes this fight against Jorge Masvidal, and now we have to wait. So now if he loses, he's taking 3 steps back, in my opinion.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, yeah, the thing is with that, Maia said that the UFC issued him an ultimatum. The UFC said, if you want to fight Woodley, you have to get through Masvidal first. You have to accept this fight and win this fight against Masvidal. Then and only then do you get the title shot against Woodley. That's what Maya's saying.
That is crazy. That is madness. He's been laying dudes to sleep. He's been upsetting every card. Every card.
Right.
He's
the human backpack.
Like, look what he did to Carlos Condit. That's all I have to say. Look what he did to Carlos Condit recently.
Right, but okay, what do you think about the thing that Masvidal said? Masvidal said, "Hey, the UFC looks at me like an executioner. If there's somebody that they don't like, they put me in there to take them out."
And once again, Ted,
that's how they view Maya.
And once again, Ted, I can totally see why he would think that. It matches right up with what we're just saying.
But the last guy he fought was Cowboy. Was the UFC upset at Cowboy because
the Fighters Union?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Thank you. You read my mind. That's good. That's good. Yeah, were they pissed off at him about that? You know?
Yeah. Jorge Masvidal is never talked about for some reason, and not until recently people have really been noticing him more and more. We've been reporting him for how long now? He's never really been the front runner for the UFC.
No.
So I understand why he feels this way.
Well, I mean, I always looked at him as kind of like a gatekeeper. I mean, not a guy that I would ever see fight for the title, but, you know,
a top 15 guy. Yeah.
I would, top 15 and win more than he would lose.
Yeah.
But probably never get to a title shot. That's how I viewed him.
Win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 2, win 2.
Yeah. That kind of a guy. But you know, he's on a little bit of a streak right now. So we'll see where this goes.
That's what it is, Ted. It's a game of streaks. You got to put the streaks together.
And it's styles make fights. So maybe he is a bad matchup for Maya.
Every time you get a loss, you're taking 3 steps, but you can take 5 steps forward. The guy who beat you steals your win, right? We see that a lot.
Hey, just getting to the chat here. Rusty's saying a close decision. He's going back to, or he's talking about Woodley and Wonderboy. If it's a close decision, the tie goes to the champ. I would like to see a more active welterweight. Whoever fights for the belt most likely will be the next champ.
People were out there saying this is the worst fight they ever seen. I have to disagree with that. Shutting that down right away. The whole time I was at the edge of my seat because something could have happened at any second. I mean, it didn't seem like too eventful, especially with the night we had with finishes, upsets. I mean, it was a wild night. And to lead up to that moment, especially with all the hype that was behind it. I mean, these two guys, their skill level's too high. I agree with what Rusty said. I mean, I really thought that Wonder Boy wasn't able to take Woodley down, didn't inflict much damage, and I think you made a great point on it as well, Ted. But unfortunately, the winner is Tyron Woodley, so it's just
right. So we have to listen to this guy until the next fight. You know, we got to listen to him talk some more now. Great. Anyway, so the co-main event was supposed to be Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson, and that got scrapped. And that was a really weird situation because I was watching the live weigh-ins, the real weigh-ins, you know, the ones they do in the morning.
Early morning weigh-ins.
Yeah, the real true blue weigh-ins that they do in the early morning, not the ones they do for show later on. And on the on the right side, of course, are the comments, you know, just like what we have, a live chat. And somebody out of the blue said, "Oh my God, Nurmagomedov didn't show up. He pulled out."
I bet no one believed it.
And people were like, "No effing way, can't be, no way, it's a lie, BS."
We're watching the weigh-ins. Come on, no way, right?
Right, and so as it turned out, so then I think I went to another site or something, and I saw Brett Okamoto tweeting out, and you know he's a reliable source, and he I think was quoting Kareem Zidane, who's another reliable guy, you know, true MMA journalist, and so they were talking about it, and so as it turned out, Khabib Nurmagomedov went to the hospital, went to a local hospital. He was about 5.5, 6 pounds away from 155, and his body started breaking down. Apparently, he was getting sick, and so his team took him there to the hospital. And what Dana White said was, well, they went rogue. That was his phrase. They went rogue. In other words, it sounds like the protocol is, if your fighter's in trouble, as soon as he's in trouble, you got to call the UFC and let them know. And I thought it was because, so that they could try to get a fight. But Dana White said, no. So our doctors can look at him, because they have their own team of doctors. And maybe they could have done something.
You could have saved the fight, yeah.
Could have saved the fight. Maybe they could have done something for Khabib. But instead, they went to the hospital. And I'm not saying those doctors, wherever they were, are bad, but they're not UFC-specific doctors that know exactly what to do for a high-level athlete.
Yeah. You're supposed to contact your work. Somebody would have been awake to take that call. They didn't go about it the right way, and it's so unfortunate, Ted, because this was it. This was the fight for them. Finally going down. It was the third time they tried to put it together, and the third time it failed.
Time.
And this was the lead up to the next in line for the title. You were going to win the interim title if you went that night. So now Tony Ferguson is flipping out because he's not getting his money.
Right. He got, I just read this today, he got less than half of his show money.
Because it was a tight interim fight.
Well, I mean, you got your show money and your win money. Yeah. That's usually how it's, unless you get a flat rate, unless you get a flat fee, like Mark Hunt and Alistair Overeem, win or lose, they both got $750,000. But a lot of fighters, it depends on how you want to sign your the contract that you make up. So for Tony Ferguson, he had show money. That means you show up, you make weight, and then you got win money if you win. So I think his show money was, I forget how much it was. Like, wasn't it $250,000?
I'm not going to quote it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
He said he got less than half of that.
Wow. And that sucks. The day of the weigh-ins too.
Yeah.
So he was a couple hours away. That's now, not right, man. They got to take care of him. They got it.
The other development was he was going to fight Michael Johnson again, because Michael Johnson, you remember, was the last guy he lost to before going on this 9-fight tear. So they offered him Michael Johnson, but they offered him it at a reduced pay. It was a huge pay cut, number one, and number two, wouldn't have been for the interim title.
No, don't do it.
So he said, I'm not doing it.
Good. That's totally messed up. You're getting the short straw there, right? You're getting the short straw there. What does a win over him really do for you? That wasn't the fight. The fight was Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was the fight.
Well, that's true. I guess maybe they were thinking he would want to avenge that loss.
Not without training for it, right? I mean, now you're going up against a striker, not a grappler.
Yeah, I mean, although I don't think you should sell Khabib short on his striking. I mean, that's not what you're trying to do, I know, but I think a lot of people do. A lot of people just, because he's so overwhelming on the ground, because he's such a wizard, with his sambo and everything, people kind of sell him short on the striking, and they shouldn't.
Well, if we were looking at a pie chart, you know what I mean?
Right. No, I mean, no, you're right. Different fighters for sure.
Yeah.
Not the fighter that he trained for. Mm-hmm. And a lot of fighters do train specifically. Like some fighters just train all out and they don't look at their opponent, but others do train, very specifically for that opponent. Yeah, no, you got a good point there. So yeah, you can't blame Tony Ferguson at all. What I've heard is that the rumor is that they're going to rebook that fight. That actually, well, according to Chael Sonnen, and you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. But according to Chael Sonnen, the UFC is now interested in booking Conor versus Nate 3, and they're going to rebook Nurmagomedov and Ferguson.
I would love that. That's a great idea.
Because now that fight has been pushed back, so now we're getting into, here we are in almost mid-March, so we've only got a couple more months, and then Conor's going to be back in action, right? Presumably.
Are they going to really give Khabib another chance at a co-main event now?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Ferguson said he'll take that fight again, but with assurances. In other words, he's talking, I want my money. I want all my money.
Well, last time it was Tony
think.
that got injured, and then once again, here we go with Khabib. Well, I just hope that the guy's all right. The weekend's over, so let's see what happens next. It was just upsetting to hear that soon, that close to the fight. So you got to understand why people were upset with you, Khabib.
Well, maybe some people were saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. It's an indicator that Nurmagomedov should just go to welterweight and not try to bother with going down to lightweight anymore. His body can't take it anymore.
So, Ted, when you're an underdog and you get the win, it often spells the difference between failure and success a lot of the time. With a lot of people, if you get that win, it really blows you up because it was totally unexpected. That was UFC 209, starting all the way from the co-main event. 3-1 underdog, Lando Venata going in there. He was the 3-1 favorite. Everyone had high expectations for him to beat David Timur from Season 22, Ultimate Fighter. And boy, that was back and forth action, and a lot of people are surprised with David Timur, man. Getting the win there. Amazing striking.
Hey, I just got a message from Dennis Hallman.
All right.
He says he's stuck in traffic. Can we push it back a half hour?
No problem.
I'll say, yeah, sure, no problem.
No problem. Yeah, guys, if you're just tuning in, we have a special guest coming on tonight. Looking forward to that.
I'll tell him we both added him on, both Eddie and I added you on Skype.
So then, Ted, not only did David Timur get an upset win, but Dan Kelly getting the win over Rashad Evans. We're going to quickly run through this because we spent almost an hour now talking about it.
Well, that's true. Let me just say real quick about Timur versus Venata. Yeah, Venata came in with a big war wagon. There were a lot of people that had were saying a lot of great things about the guy. One win, one loss. He lost to Tony Ferguson, but people were impressed even in that loss.
Yeah.
And then he had that spinning back kick win. So everybody was hot on Venata, and I gotta say, myself included, and I had no idea who this Timur guy was. He was he was nowhere near my radar.
Yeah.
This guy is a serious fighter. He has like, excuse me, he's got like 60 kickboxing fights to his credit.
He's a Muay Thai champ, yeah.
He's a Muay Thai champ. I mean, he could be fighting at Lion fights. He could be fighting, at any K1.
Glory, yeah. Glory,
absolutely. And really, that was a striker's delight. That fight right there.
Even Lando had that spin kick.
What's that?
Lando had that like cartwheel kick. He threw in there too.
Cartwheel.
It was an exciting fight.
Yep.
The chin on Lando is what really surprised me once again.
Well, he did have that. There is that.
And you know what, Dad? Looking back to his last fight with Tony Ferguson, there was a moment in that fight where Tony Ferguson did the Superman punch and Lando just walked through it. It was just out of control. Dan Kelly getting the win over Rashad Evans in a split decision. That, it surprised some people, didn't surprise some people. It was his debut at 185 pounds. He looked great at the weigh-ins, but he wasn't able to really connect the dots until later in the fight. Not until the third round did we see Rashad really getting loose, using his footwork and head movement a little more.
Well, people say he's had too many injuries, too many surgeries. Plus that whole weird thing with his MRI. He was rejected in New York and then in Toronto. He's just looked sluggish and really kind of out of it in his last few fights. And Kelly just kept coming. I mean, just combo after combo after combo. He was relentless, and he used that judo to his advantage too. He had a couple of leg trips in there and stuff like that. So I was impressed. And I think they thought, we'll put this 39-year-old dude in there with Rashad and get Rashad a win.
Yeah.
We get him going. Give him something. Give him something fairly easy.
Not a high-tier guy.
That's not the case.
Yeah, Dan Kelly put on one hell of a performance, man, and I was saying maybe him versus Tim Boetsch would be a good one.
Yeah, I like that.
You like that? I thought you would.
Well, yeah. I mean, two guys that have been around for a long time, and I think it would be an exciting fight, you know, and they let's see what I mean. You know, Tim Boetsch is a wrestler. He's a collegiate wrestler, but
he's coming off a loss to Jacare as well too.
Coming off a loss, yeah. I mean, maybe they wouldn't want to put him in there against Dan Kelly because he's coming off of a win. But no, I think that would be an exciting fight.
So
yeah,
also on the card, Ted, I don't know if you want to touch any more on the Rashad fight, do you?
Nope, I'm good, man. Let's keep going.
All right, so Amanda Bobby Cooper getting choked out, rear naked choke in round 1 against Cynthia Calvallo, who I'm going to be trying to get on the show, man. You know, she made a great performance there. And then we had Overeem versus Mark Hunt getting the knockout win in the 3rd round. Overeem with a vicious knee to the head of Mark Hunt early in that fight, Ted. I don't know if you saw it, but I can hear myself relaying in your computer.
Oh, I can't. I mean, I can hear you just fine. I don't hear any reverb or anything.
It's all good. So Overeem getting the win over Mark Hunt early on in that fight. Yeah. Hunt got a huge cut open on like the tibia of his foot.
Yeah, it was right on his shin. I think it was a checked kick. Like so he went for a low kick, and Overeem checked it, and that's what opened up his leg. And I guess initially after the fight, Mark Hunt thought that he had a broken tibia. But then I looked into it, and as it turned out, no, that wasn't the case. It was just a nasty gash.
Nasty gash.
Nasty
the
gash.
Doctor said.
It was a ghastly gash. It was it was bleeding all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, this is the resurgence of Alistair Overeem. You know, it's the Conor Reem. He's a smarter fighter now, and he's got all sorts of weapons. And I mean, you know, Hunt had his 2 fists, and yeah, he was trying to get the leg kicks going, but you know, Overeem just overwhelmed him.
Hunt caught him a couple of times too. I got nervous for Overeem at the end of that 1st round, and going into the 2nd round, there was even moments there where Overeem almost got knocked out. But Overeem was doing a great job staying at length and being a really controlled kind of a fighter. There was another moment in that fight where people thought he was running. Come on.
He does do that, though. He did that with Stipe as well.
He's got to get out of the way of danger.
Nah, I don't like it. I don't like the running. I mean, yeah, you can say it's strategy, but I could almost guarantee you it doesn't look very good in the judge's eyes. You know?
Ooh.
And Hunt got him with that elbow. Did you see that elbow he gave him?
Yeah, for nice sure. One. And it was a brutal way to get a win, especially found out that he had food poisoning as well, Overeem.
Oh, right, yeah. And Dana White really made a point to say that. Like, hey, this guy was in the hospital. This guy was suffering. You know, stuff was coming out of his front end. Stuff was coming out of his back end. And, you know, like he made a big point to say that, I think, because he was trying to show maybe that Nurmagomedov made the wrong decision. Nurmagomedov maybe isn't really as tough as he should.
I like how you put those two together. I like that, Ted. I bet it is. I bet that's why he said it.
I think that was a bit of the undertone there.
I didn't even think about that.
Because Overeem was sitting there at his post-fight press conference, right? And then didn't Dana White just kind of jump in and go, "Let me tell you about this guy right here," you know? And so I think he was really, really disappointed in Nurmagomedov, and you know, was just, I mean, you know, what's done is done, but Dana White's always got to kind of get back at you. You know what I mean? Like, you if you try to screw him over intentionally or unintentionally, he's going to let you know. He's going to try to, you know, he's tit for tat for sure.
So think about this. Overeem dedicated that fight to his 103-year-old grandmother.
Really?
Yeah, 103-year-old grandmother. Grandma Reem.
Grandma Reem.
Grandma Reem.
I love it. I love it. We got Conor Reem and Grandma Reem.
Make sure to drink your Grammarine.
No, I had no idea. That's fantastic. Wow.
Another honorable mention on this card, Ted. We cannot stop without mentioning these last two here. Darren Elkins versus Mirsad Bektik with the knockout in the 3rd round comeback.
Yeah. Comeback of the year so far, man.
Chuck Liddell comeback, right?
Right. I mean, when was the last time we saw a comeback like this? Not since, I guess, Anderson Silva came back from being
Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, Anderson and Chael Sonnen. You know, the triangle in the 5th round.
Or the Czech Congo fight. How about that one?
Czech Congo and Pat Barry.
Yep.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Right. Nearly knocked out, and then he ended up knocking out Pat Barry. That's another one. Yeah.
I think that was the craziest one, man.
That was insane. That was insane in terms of just how quick, how brutal it was, and how quick the tide changed. This one was like a slow burn, because Elkins was getting beat for what, 2 rounds, right? For the better part of 2.5 rounds.
Well, I think the first round was even a 10-8.
Right, and as Joe Rogan said, he had that cut
somewhere.
The cut looked like a change purse. You know, the old. Did you ever have one of those as a kid? It's a little plastic change purse.
They open it. Kind of looks like a woman's part.
Yes, it does look like a lady part. And that is what Elkins had on his head. Well, it kind of reminds me of what Rogan said many years ago when Vitor Belfort hit Marvin the Beastman Eastman with I think it was a flying knee, and it opened up. It looked like he got hit with an axe. You know. But you know, props to the doctor for looking at that and saying, you know what? That's an ugly, nasty cut, but it's not a fight stopper.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the fight. It's not near the eye. It's not, you know, it doesn't, it's just cosmetic, in other words. Yeah, it's a really nasty cut, but it ain't no fight stopper. So props to the ref for that. But that was an awesome comeback. I really thought Bektic was going to win. He came in, you know, pretty highly touted, right? He was favored to win, I think.
Yep. So I had it all written out, the way I scored it, but I can't find it. But I'm pretty sure that first round was a 10-8.
Probably. I would not have a problem with that. What'd you think of the Marcin Tybura Luis Henrique fight?
That was all right. I mean, I wanted that was a close one. I mean, any guy could have won. I probably shouldn't have picked Henrique to win, I guess, is what I have to say about that. By the way, Ted, I had an awful night with my picks. I think a lot of people had some struggles. I lost one of my listeners $1,200. They messaged me. Between him and his buddy, they went by my picks, lost him $1,200.
Oh, my God. That's why every now and then on my channel, I just say, you know, if I give a prediction, I say, don't use my stuff as a bet. Do not bet on anything I say, because
usually I'm pretty good with it. I'm usually right on.
But I'm wrong.
You got to make that blanket statement of saying if you don't have enough, if you're just doing this for fun, you put 5 on it or play UFC Pick'em with us, then all right. But $1,200, I felt bad, man. I felt like shit.
Wow.
Sorry
hey, the thing about the Tybura fight, did you see the video I did where Charlize Theron was giving him the double birds?
Please show all of or tell all of our listeners exactly what was going on there, Ted.
Okay. Charlize Theron, okay? World famous, you know, beautiful actress, right? She was in Mad Max, Fury Road. She's been in a whole bunch of things. You know, she's, okay? World famous actress, loves the UFC, loves mixed martial arts, loves the UFC. So she's sitting there during this fight, or probably for the entire card. She wasn't in the first row. She was closer. She was
like the judges
on the cage. Okay, she was where the judges and the extra refs sit. That's how close she was.
Like how though? That's crazy.
Oh, if I was Dana White, I would put her there too. Well, I think also she's represented by WME-IMG.
Okay,
so,
makes sense.
There you go. Okay, so anyway, so Tybura and Henrique are fighting. Tybura, at the end of the first round, he's got his hands in the cage, or this hand. He's got his right hand in the cage, and Herb Dean is going like this, looking right at it, and is not doing anything. Okay? And I can't tell you if that has anything to do with it or not, but that's how the round ends, right? Tybura is walking, and there's Charlize Theron doing this to him. Like right at him. It couldn't have been directed. I made a joke. I said, look, I don't know how they do things in South Africa. I mean, is that how you congratulate somebody in South Africa? Hey, good job. You did an awesome job. You know what I mean? I don't know. But over here in the States, that means F you. And I think maybe she was upset that he had his hand in the cage. You know, it's a flagrant foul. That's the only thing that I can come up with.
Yeah.
And even when he turned his back, she's still doing it.
So
You
no
know
one
what I mean?
ever found out what happened?
All right, I tweeted her. I didn't expect to hear
All right, so I tweeted her. I love the way this
tweeted
starts.
her. Look, I mean, I didn't expect her to get back to somebody like me. Okay, I'm not Tom Hardy. I'm not who was in Mad Men. Who
Tweeting
am I,
Charlize
right?
Theron, man. I don't know.
Right? Okay, so she didn't respond back to me. I tweeted Tybura. I tweeted Marcin Tybura. I haven't checked my Twitter in a little while. Maybe he got back to me. I don't know.
We need to get to the bottom of this because that's weird.
I intend to.
Well, let's make a call out to all of our listeners to now message her and him let's try to figure this out.
Well, if they get on my Twitter, they can retweet my question to Marcin Tybura.
I'm going to go do that right now so you guys can find that at Pure Evil MMA on Twitter and at Ted Czech. It's right there at the bottom here on the page. TEDCZECH and at Pure Evil MMA. I'm going to blast it out right now, Ted. That's our mission.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I even said it. He's Polish. I'm half Polish.
So you're going to fight with anyone that has anything bad to say about Polish. You're fighting guys about Stipe. You're fighting Charlize Theron.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No way.
Great.
Yeah. So Tybura at the end I put Dziękuję, which in Polish means thank you. So I'm hoping he's my countryman, even though I've never stepped foot in Poland. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying here.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway.
Marcin, do you know why I see it right here? Put up her middle fingers at you and then I see it.
Yeah.
Here's Ted's tweet, guys. How the hell did you even were able to spell that?
Oh, I copy and paste. I don't know Polish, but I that is how you spell it. It's authentic right there. That's how you spell it. Dziękuję. That's how you say it.
Good job, Ted. I just blasted that out, so make sure you guys go retweet that.
Thank you, Eddie.
And there's another one to Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I did send one to her. It was a couple days ago. So you'd have to go down in my.
I see your argument with Snowden as well.
Yeah, that dude.
Please, guys, go check out Ted Czech's page on Twitter
dude.
at Ted Czech, and let's blast this out here.
Okay, hey, so let's get back to the chat room real quick. Ann said that Charlize Theron was awesome in the movie Monster. That's where she played that man-hating.
Look just like her, literally.
Man-hating lesbian serial killer.
What was her name?
It was like Aileen Wuornos.
Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah, she was like this
girl, man. It's a bad girl.
big-ass woman who liked other women and hated men, and she only killed men. You got a lot of the classic serial killer is a dude that kills women, and she flipped it.
Well, usually it was guys that were picking her up as a prostitute, and then she was killing them, and then.
Oh, so that was her thing. She tricked them.
Yeah. Well, no, she had a really bad, a traumatic incident about some guy picked her up and got a gun pulled on her. So every time she did it, she had these flashbacks of that. So this whole monster-esque thing started growing inside of her, and she started killing people over it.
Okay.
But she looked just like her there, Ted. That was a good role.
Though. Scary because I don't want to look at Charlize Theron like that. That's just
that wasn't. Ann, you're the best.
That's unsightly. I can't look at her like that.
Make sure you guys give Ann a follow. Ted, that looked just like. Do that again. That was just like it.
No.
That was great.
At that. Charlize Theron is a beautiful woman.
I can't wait to screenshot that later.
Charlize Theron is a beautiful woman. I can't look at her in that role. It's just.
Ted, you should make that your profile picture. You should make that your profile picture.
All right.
Oh, Ann just blasted it out. I think Ann just blasted out your tweet here. It just popped up on my computer. But
good. Thank you, Ann.
So let's move on here. Darren Elkins getting that win. Alcantara getting that win over Luke Sanders by a knee bar in the second round. Another comeback, taking out the undefeated Luke Sanders. That was a brutal fight. And Alcantara was coming off that loss to our boy Jimmy Rivera.
Jimmy Rivera. El Terror.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So no one wants to fight that guy. Luke Sanders was so close to finishing him off. He actually got a $50K bonus for that win as well. So that really wraps up UFC 209. Ted, you know what we like to do at this moment. Let's put a star next to this. How many stars are you giving this card?
Let's see here. I mean, everything but the main event was great.
3.5. Another 3.5.
At least 3 3/4.
3. I think that nails it. I think that
There
nails
we go.
it.
Because like you said, it was highlighted by these by upsets, and that's why we love MMA. I think because it's so exciting, because you never know what's going to happen. So so I say 3 3/4 stars.
Well, a lot of people don't respect the cards a lot of the time. They'll look at it and go, "Oh, I don't know any of those names, so it's not going to be a good night of fight." Never the case, ever.
Never. Right. I mean,
when you see a name you don't know, you should be tuning in to see what that guy's all about. That's what I like to see.
I agree, because there's guys that realize that. They go, hey, I'm not a household name. I got to scratch and claw my way to the top. I'm going to give the best showing that I possibly can. So yeah, sometimes it is these kind of, I don't want to say minor, well, this was a numbered pay-per-view card, but sometimes it is some of those, shall we say, lower level cards that have some of the best fights.
Well, check this out, Ted. The biggest talk wasn't the main event. It was more the prelims, right? So there you go. Not the case all the time. You might see names you recognize, doesn't mean it's going to be a great fight all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you think we got enough time to go through another little a new segment here?
Yeah, we do. We've got about 15 minutes before we can get Dennis on. So
Awesome.
let's do that.
All right, so I think we're about halfway through today's show. What do we got left on today's list, Ted?
Well, we can talk about UFC Fight Night Fortaleza, which is coming up this weekend, featuring Vitor Belfort versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Well, let's jump into that one. That's going to be a fun one, and it's free. And if it's free, it's for Ted. And if it's free, it's for me.
That's right. I thought, this would be a good segment for now, because really we're only looking at the top three fights.
Top 3, yeah.
Top 3 in this in this card. So I have, if you Eddie, if you get a moment, if you could check the rankings. Where Vitor Belfort and
I think he's like top 5 actually.
Who, Gastelum?
I think Vitor's like 6th. Here, I think I actually wrote that all down. But you know what, Ted? I'll let you know this. You know who holds the most knockouts in UFC history?
Who does?
Vitor Belfort.
Has the most knockouts
in UFC history.
Has the most wins by knockout.
12.
Well, you could probably take 3 of those off, because that was when he was on TRT. I don't know. Remember that one year he was on a tear. It was Bisping. He knocked out Bisping. He knocked out Luke Rockhold, and there was one other guy. I forget who the third guy was. But where's Minion when we need him?
Where's Minion? Where is Minion?
Oh, Jeff Stinson checking in. Thoughts on Yair Rodriguez versus Holloway Aldo winner? What do you think about that?
We were talking about that. We were like, well, how would you think Max Holloway would match up against Yair? I thought that would be an intriguing fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Vitor's ranked 9th, Ted, and Gastelum 10th, so they're neck and neck.
Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. So I mean, yeah, it's a I mean, whoever wins this is probably going to jump up a couple of notches in the rankings.
Well, above them you got Derek Brunson, then Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker, Gegard Mousasi, Weidman, Jacare, Rockhold, Romero, and Bisping.
Oh, Jeff is saying Gastelum is 8th. I don't know what you're looking at, Eddie. But,
I'm looking at the UFC site, the UFC website.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe Jeff's got.
Oh no, that's what I like to go by.
He's looking at something called Ranking MMA. So.
Oh, okay. I never checked that out, but I definitely will.
But hey, the UFC doesn't care about rankings anyway, so you know. What I mean?
Right. Hey man, make sure you follow me and Ted on our Twitter and Facebook. I mean, everyone's got a Facebook, right? Make sure to give our pages a like at Pure Evil MMA and Ted Czech. We're always down to talk about anything MMA. Welcome to our show. You pretty much serve as a third co-host here, so shoot away with any questions that you got. But Yair Rodriguez would be a great matchup against Max Holloway. I was really intrigued by that. to see kind of what I'm more intrigued to see what Max Holloway would do to respond to that output level of Yair.
I mean, I would take Yair with either one of those guys, Holloway or Aldo. You know.
Well, with what he's been doing, man, there's no reason that we should really be doubting him at this moment, right?
Right. Heck yeah. So yeah, he's the master of the spinning shit. Spinning and flying shit.
I mean, if you do look at his last 2 fights, they were really impressive, but it was against BJ Penn, and the fight before that was against Bruce Leroy. So, kind of, it's hard to really go off of. I do want to see him go in there against somebody maybe a little higher in the rankings, obviously. So let's see how he does with that before we get to the champ and the number 1 contender.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, I agree with you, Eddie. There's still a little bit more he can do. Yeah. Maybe another win against a top 5 guy or whatever.
He needs it. He needs
consider him for a contender position.
And like you were saying, Mexico needs somebody like Yair. They need a fighter.
Sure. I mean, I think the UFC is looking for that. Like we said before with Kane. That was Kane. Kane just gets injured all the time. You know what I mean? He's not reliable. You can't rely on the guy. We need somebody who's consistent and healthy. And, I think Yair is going to be that guy.
And who knows? Look at last year what happened to Cody Nolov. He went to unranked champion by the end of 2016. So you never know what's going to happen during the year. So.
Oh, hey, Jeff's got another question. Do we think that Conor has burned his bridges to come back this year and fight? Who can he fight that will actually pull money for him? I would say that the third fight, the rubber match with Nate.
Yeah. That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee millions, right?
Right. I mean, they'll play it up. They'll say, oh, well, Nate won the first one. Conor won the second one. Here's the third fight that's going to take winner take all.
There's people out there that think Nate's a champion because of that win that he had over Conor.
Oh, okay. So he's the uncrowned lightweight champion of the UFC.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying that people didn't know who Nate was or any of the thing, but since he beat Conor, they thought he was a champion, and I had to tell a couple of people that they were wrong there.
Yeah. Hey, Conor, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker.
When he said that, I was like, oh my God, here we go. Because that night that Nate fought Michael Johnson, 3 or 4 guys were calling Conor out that night.
I'm going to kick your ass. And Jeff followed up. He said, do we actually want to see a third fight?
Maybe it's too soon, but it will sell. I don't really want to see it right now. I really don't.
I'll watch Conor fight anybody. I'll watch Conor fight a bear. I mean, I'll watch him fight anybody or anything. But that's just me. And I know it'll be successful, and that's what WME IMG needs. They're trying to make that $4.2 billion back.
I wanted to see Khabib versus Conor. That's what I wanted to see, and that's what I was really hoping that they would push for here. But unfortunately, that fell through.
But Khabib, I mean, the only way that's going to make a shit ton of money is if they open up the Russian market. You know what I mean? I don't think they have they don't have a TV deal in Russia, do they?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So they need to put that. So if they don't,
is BT Sport in Russia, or is that just England?
I think that's just the UK.
Okay.
So they need to get a TV deal in Russia, number one, and number two, then to put it in a big ass stadium and break the attendance record. So if they did lose any money, maybe they would make it back on the gate.
You know what's the biggest gate in UFC history in America?
Oh, in America, that I don't know.
UFC 205.
Oh, really?
I just saw it in the record books. I was doing the MMA trivia for the podcast. Yeah.
UFC MSG NYC.
I'm pretty positive, or maybe it was the Ronda. No. I think Ronda Rousey. I think that was out of the country when they did that one. That broke records.
Oh no! Well, okay. So GSP had the record.
Australia.
Just talking international. GSP had 55,000
in Canada.
Right, and then Ronda versus Holly beat
Australia.
That in Australia. Right, that's how it went.
Okay, thank you for that, Ted.
That would be another record for Conor. He's all about titles, getting records, getting legacy. He doesn't care about defending anything.
Now he's about to take over a country, which was what I was looking forward to. If he beat Khabib, he can crown himself as the king of Russia.
He would say, I'm the Tsar.
And
I'm
he would.
the Tsar of Russia. You know he would.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Pat wants to see Ferguson versus Diaz. I'm not sure which Diaz, but
probably Nate. Probably Nate. 155.
Nate can get down to 155. Yeah. Even though isn't Nate taller than Nick?
I'm sure he's a couple inches. He looks it to be. I mean, he's definitely skinnier.
But he's thinner. Yeah, he's thinner. So he can make the 155, and Nick probably can't.
I met Nate. I was next to him, but I couldn't really judge like the height. And then when he came over to me to talk, he was on like a little pillar. So it was like 4 feet above me, so it was really hard to really measure.
Oh, okay. Because,
So
I mean, if
really
you listen to Dana White, Nate Diaz is huge.
Next to Dana. Yeah, Dana's probably what,
He's
5?
3 times the size of me.
I think Dana's 5'7", 5'8",
What?
right? Isn't Dana like 5'8"? He's not that big
Dana
of a guy.
White?
Yeah.
No, he's 5'11".
5'11", Dana White. Wow.
That's what I heard.
How tall are you, Ted?
I'm about the same. I'm about 5'10", 5'11".
I'm almost 6'1".
What's that?
I'm almost freaking 6'1". I never thought I thought I would stop growing at like 21. I kept growing.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a manlet, according to this chart that I found.
You're a what?
A manlet.
What the fuck is a man?
That's a short man. You know, a man. You know, if you're a man, you're a man. If you're less than a man,
you're like a midget man.
Like a midget. It's a manlet.
A manlet.
You know.
I was thinking like omelet. I don't know why.
Yeah, no. If you're a manlet, that's what they call Connor. They say, "Oh, Connor's, he's a manlet. He's not really a man." Right? Because Connor's 5'9".
Chad Mendes a manlet. Uriah Faber's a manlet.
Right. They're all manlets. Yeah. So according to this chart,
I'm gonna start calling people that. You're a freaking manlet.
Well, I proclaimed myself the king of the manlets because I'm 5'11" or between 5'10", 5'11". So that's the cutoff. But 6'2" apparently is optimum. 6'2" is like the optimum height now for a dude.
Ted, I'll tell you what. Our show has healed me. I'm going to start charging people for a medicine to listen to our show. I feel 10 times better than when we started.
Oh, so the show is therapy.
The show has been reviving me back to life. It's the MMA, man. I say it all the time. It's the one thing that has really saved my life. It's the one thing I have passion for. And really, the energy just soaks through me. I love it. And talking with you about it, man, I look forward to this every week. So I'm happy I'm not throwing up anymore.
Sorry, I just had that's just my sound effect.
Our podcasters will love that.
Eddie, I'm happy you're not as well. I throw up so hard that I pass out.
Yeah. Me and Angie were just watching Bridesmaids the other day, and I was telling her about that.
That's right. We went over that. That's right. Yeah, it's a condition or whatever. My wife laughs about it. She's a nurse, so apparently it's called syncopal or syncope. It's a medical term, like when you pass out. So that's my nickname in her
manlet syncope.
Yeah, my nickname in amongst her friends in the hospital is Syncopal Ted. That's what she refers to me as.
That's awesome. I love that name. Ted. The manlet. Here comes the manlet. Syncopal Ted.
So you got to be 6'2" now, or else you're a manlet.
So that's what people are calling you out there in Pennsylvania.
I don't know, man. I'm king of the manlets.
Hey, I got a question for you since you're from Pennsylvania. Where do Amish people go? Do they go to the hospital when they're sick, or what do they do?
That's a good question. I don't know if they have like their own witch doctors.
Because they don't believe in technology and machinery and stuff like that, right?
No, they don't. Wow. I've done stories, like unfortunate things where, they're in a buggy and they're on a regular road and then somebody smashes into them.
Ooh.
Stuff. Yeah, it's a horrible stuff like that. But I've never heard about that. I've heard about like other religions where you can't immunize my kid because it's against my religion, blah blah blah. But that's not the Amish. I don't know what they do. That's a good question.
If they have a witch doctor, you said. No, I said it before, man. I've been out. I've been out there. I had a great time. I stayed in an Amish home with the candles in the windows and everything. They made us homemade pancakes. There was cows that came up to our window in the morning. It was an awesome experience. For our listeners that are in Brazil listening or the UK, I mean, Pennsylvania is pretty cool for that kind of an experience. It's like going back in time almost.
Right. I mean, but they that's interesting that you had that interaction, because usually they don't like to really deal with folks, like us.
You want to know why, Ted? You want to know why my family got in? Because my family used to be farmers here in Connecticut, in North Branford. If you bring up my grandmother's last name, it's like a respected last name, the Augers. And they used to actually own a whole entire town here, right next to New Haven, Connecticut. So my family was pretty well known in the area with delivering farm supplies and stuff like that out everywhere. And so,
hey, check it out, man. It is almost the bottom of the hour. It is almost 11:30.
All right.
Eastern time, which means 8:30 Pacific time, which is Dennis Superman Hallman's time. So it's time to call him, I think.
Okay.
Unless you want to give it like another minute.
Let's give him another minute. And I'm gonna pull him up right here and see if he picks up. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll just I'll just talk about him for a second here. Dennis Superman Hallman, for those of you who don't know, has fought. I believe he is retired. We're gonna ask him about that, but he's 41 years old, I believe. He's fought in the UFC. He's fought pretty much in every organization. He got his start years and years and years ago, and I think his last fight was a couple of years ago. But now he trains and corners fighters out of his academy in Washington State, which is called Victory. Let's see here. It is known as. I've got it here somewhere. But anyway, it's like Victory. Oh, it's Victory Athletics. Victory Athletics in Washington State. And so yeah, we're gonna get Dennis on here. We're gonna talk to him about a number of things. Something that happened recently in India involving one of his fighters, female fighter Hannah Kampf, and also we'll talk about what he thinks is going on in the UFC these days, and how it compares to. What it was like when he was in the UFC. So, are you calling him up now, Eddie?
I'm trying to. He's got to add me on. He's got to add me on here.
Oh, should I send him a text?
Mm-hmm.
Tell him to add us?
Yeah. He's got to share his info with me.
Share info or just add?
Yeah, just add. Just add me. Here, I'm sending him another request here. So yeah, guys, make sure you're following me and Ted on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA and at Ted Czech. That's TEDCZECH. We're trying to get some sponsors here on the show, so if you guys have any recommendations, definitely let us know. And make sure you follow us on Facebook as well.
Oh, hey, Jeff's got a question in the interim as we're waiting for Dennis here.
I love it.
Let me just see if I can. He had a. Other than Habib, who else can he? Oh no, he was talking about Conor there. Let me move on to something else. Do we think there needs to be Zuffa or USADA need to step in and create some sort of weight cut policy? We've seen quite a few fighters drop out of the main or co-main events in the last few months. So what do you think about that, Eddie? About weight cutting?
What was the question again?
The question is, does Zuffa or USADA need to step in and create some sort of weight cut policy?
Like, they're supposed to be making a guideline for them or have, like, special places for them to go to learn a little more about it.
Oh, so education.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've seen the where they banned the use of IVs. They did that. But I mean, that doesn't seem to have done anything. I mean, we're still seeing fighters drop out because of dehydration and things like that. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I struggle with this one. This one's a difficult one. But doesn't boxing weigh in the same day?
Yeah,
Don't they
I'm
do
pretty sure.
Same day weigh-ins, and that seems to kind of alleviate some of the trouble. Because if you're going to weigh in on the same day, you're going to be, the similar. I mean, if you only have from the morning to the night. Fighters have why they cut weight. I think is because they think, oh, well, I'll gain it all back, and then some, by the time I step into the cage, But having them weigh in the day of would discourage that. So maybe that's where they need to go with it. I haven't heard back from Dennis. I sent him two texts. I said, can you add us on Skype? And we both sent requests to you.
All right, cool.
So,
all right, so I guess we'll wait to hear from him.
Right. So Jeff continues. He says, because it's messing up their livers. Somebody was just on Joe Rogan's show last week and said he has to have some serious medical tests.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean,
was it Cruz that was saying that? 'Cause I know
who, Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, I think I know Cruz was just on there. I'm a big fan of JRE and Fighter and the Kid myself. Hey man, I want to thank you for tweeting us as well. He just added us on Twitter, Ted.
Who's that?
Our boy right here in the chat room.
Oh, Jeff Stinson. Yeah. Oh, Ian McCall. Looks like Ian McCall was the guy. Uncle Creepy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, shout out to Uncle Creepy. I'm trying to get him on Pure Evil MMA. I've been in talks with him. I've added him right here on Skype. I can probably call him right now if we wanted to see if he'd pick up.
Well, I'm not giving up hope on Dennis just yet. He said he was stuck in traffic, so maybe that's still the case. That could very well be. Why don't we continue with UFC Fortaleza?
Yeah,
Brazil.
Vitor Belfort versus Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, it's tough to judge on Vitor because he has lost his last couple of fights, but to very high-ranked guys. The skill level is up there, and when you're fighting guys at that level, either guy can win on the certain night. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to really judge. There are people out there that are saying, "Oh, well, he's not the same guy he used to be. He's getting older now. There's not TRT Vitor, this and that, man." But I still think he's got it, man. He beat Dan Henderson, which once again you guys can argue, well, he's on his older end. Well, he was just. I mean, it goes both ways. I think Vitor still got it. He's going up against Kelvin Gastelum, who's coming off a win over Tim Kennedy. That's also hard to judge there because I don't believe in ring rust, but we can say he had a little ring rust there.
Who did? Tim
Kennedy.
Yeah, Tim Kennedy had over a 2-year layoff.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, when I look at Kelvin Gastelum and Vitor Belfort, first of all, there's 14 years between them. Vitor 39, Kelvin Gastelum 25 years old. Kelvin hasn't even hit his peak yet. He's still
25.
He's still climbing there. But the other interesting thing I see with Kelvin is he's never been knocked out, never been submitted, and never say never, right? I mean, it could happen with Vitor. But the other thing that the other thing with Vitor is pretty much, people say if you can survive the Vitor
first round,
you can survive the first round with Vitor, you'll be all right. And his last 2 fights, he did lose by TKO.
Yep.
And Kelvin is known as a heavy-handed wrestler. So, I mean, I'm seeing a takedown and a dang-it-a-dang-it-a-dang-it-a-dang-it-a-dang, as Bob Roode would say. That's what I'm seeing. I think Kelvin has found his weight. Like what we were saying about
the big issue was his weight.
Right. He's had a lot of difficulty making welterweight. He's not the tallest guy. He's a manlet. He's 5'9", but he's got a massive upper body, and he's got no ass. People were talking about this.
I'm gonna start calling everyone manlets now.
Yeah.
Hashtag manlet.
Check this out. Kelvin Gastelum, I'm gonna call him Econo ass because he has no ass. So that's
What's
more
up with all these names you're coming up with tonight, Ted?
Econo ass, because you can. He's got nothing. He's got nothing in the trunk. He got no junk in the trunk, so that means more weight for the upper body. He's got his huge upper body, and his legs are kind of, middle of the road legs, and he got no ass.
Middle of the road legs.
He's got normal looking legs.
I've never heard that either. Middle of the road legs, the two little yellow lines.
He's just got normal looking legs. He doesn't have tree trunks. He doesn't have tree trunks like Ben Henderson does, but he's got regular looking legs. He's got no ass and a huge ass upper body. So I mean, I just think he's just gonna give a power double there to Vitor and get the TKO. That's the way I'm seeing it.
I can't judge it right now, Ted. I like to see the weigh-ins and all that. But honestly,
I like to see
I am leaning towards Kelvin. I am leaning towards Kelvin here. It's weird to judge where Vitor's head's at, right? Because now he's got his back up against the wall, and he's been given so many chances here in the UFC. This could be his last fight. Unfortunately, it's not.
He said he's going to retire after this fight. Somebody said that to me.
Say that, huh?
Well, I haven't read that.
I remember hearing that after his last fight. He said, "My neck it's going to be my last." I remember hearing that.
Which seems to me to be the kiss of death. When you say that, when you come out with that, it almost seems as though, it never goes well for you. When you say, "Oh, this is my last fight," do you really give it your all in your last fight, or are you just like, fuck it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, look at Miesha Tate. She decided.
Well, it's a sign of weakness, like we said. It's a sign of weakness. DC was saying that at UFC 200 against John Bones. This might be my last fight, and I don't like hearing that. You're right.
Right. Yeah. It just. But I was saying, look at Miesha Tate. She decided in mid-fight that this was her last fight.
Literally.
Her ex-boyfriend there. What's his name?
Whoa, ex. They broke up.
Yeah. That rumor's been going on for a couple of months. Caraway's like, oh, are you going to fight or are you not going to fight? Are you in this or are you not? Yeah, that's been the rumor that they're not together anymore.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him on her Snap. I follow all the fighters on Snapchat to see what they're doing every day. I haven't seen him in a while now.
She kind of had a cryptic answer. You know what I mean? And so I don't know.
Oh, hey, guys, if you want to follow me on Snap, it's Blinks812, BLINKZ812. I know I got a lot of our listeners that already follow me. In case you're just tuning in or you're just getting on the evil and intoxicated bandwagon here, make sure you follow me.
I got to clear something up with Ann. She's laughing at when I said Gastelum had no ass. She's like, why?
Econo ass.
What? Yeah, Econo ass.
I'm writing all these names down, Ted.
Huh?
I'm writing all these names down that you're saying here today.
Econo ass.
Econo ass.
All right. I'm not checking out his ass. It was on SureDog, okay? It was on SureDog. Somebody was making fun of him, saying he looked like Hank Hill.
Oh my God.
They're like, oh, I want to see his Hank Hill plump butt, or whatever. His Hank Hill crack. So it wasn't me. I'm just repeating it. But I did make up Econo ass.
This is his backside right here. Just goes straight down. That's great, Ted. So who else is on this card here, Ted?
So we have Mauricio Shogun Rua. I mean,
another guy we could say the same thing about him as we did about Vitor. Another guy who's been up against top-ranked guys, been through so many battles in his career.
Yeah, he's a guy that when you talk about mileage, MMA mileage, he's one guy that's at the top of the list. People often talk about that. Whether it's usually it's a lot of these guys from that have come from shoot box. Yeah. Wanderlei Silva, Shogun Rua, guys like that. And so Shogun is fighting John Vellante.
See, John Vellante, I don't think he's ever fought anybody at the level that Shogun Rua is at. And I love Vellante's style. I love his way of fighting. But against Shogun Rua, this would be a huge win for him. But there's other people out there that are going to be, well, Ed, Shogun Rua's older. Same thing they're going to say about Vitor, right?
Right. I mean, if Shogun wins, it'll be like, well, Vellante is not a high-ranked opponent anyway. And if Vellante wins, it's going to be like, well, Shogun
just beat Corey Anderson.
That's true. He did. He beat him by split decision, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the fight before that, he won by unanimous decision. And you look at Villante, who's 15-7. He won over a guy I've never heard of, Saparbek Safarov. He beat that guy by TKO.
That was his last fight, and then he had another fight before that he won, right?
No, he lost to Ilir Latifi by unanimous decision. Latifi ragdolled him. But see, Latifi is this muscle-bound wrestler dude, and that's not Shogun. Shogun and Shogun is more, is a technical Muay Thai striker.
Mm-hmm.
Although he does have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I think and Villante tends to be a little bit wild with his striking. So I think Shogun is because I was watching that fight between Villante and Safarov, and Villante won that by TKO. But Safarov was wild and didn't, his head movement was all off and
head movement. Head movement.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Shogun and the guy knows how to fight. He knows how to move and how to defend and block and parry and strike just at the right moments. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be a totally different fight for Villante.
Yeah.
Shogun is not Safarov. And so I think Shogun's going to get the win. I think it'll be another unanimous decision. I don't know, Shogun with the mileage that he has and just the injuries and everything like that, I don't know that he's going to be able to beat Villante, but I think he'll be able to beat him on the cards, unanimous decision.
I certainly hope so, man. I get so nervous every time Shogun fights because I'm always rooting for the guy. I love his style. I love what he represents for our sport and, how he kind of paved the path for a lot of guys. You were mentioning that Brazil card that he was just on where he beat Corey Anderson, Ted. That was another fight that broke records for the UFC.
Is that right?
Another night of a sold-out audience and gate.
Oh, nice. I did not know that.
Well, there you go. A little bit of that. And your boy Stipe stunned everybody that night.
Stipe, Miocic. That's when you start your car. Miocic. That's what it says.
So I'm trying to get him on here, Ted. Let me try to call him and then maybe pull you in onto it.
Dennis.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. Let's give it a shot here.
I thought you meant Stipe for a second there.
No, I don't have his Skype yet.
All right, I'll hold on.
If you call Dennis Hallman, your current call will be put on hold. Ted, we're putting you on hold here. I'm bringing the audience with me over to Dennis. No bueno. No bueno. Here, let's get Ted back on here. Look at Ted's picture, though, guys. For a moment. Check out, this is Ted's picture. Oh, Dennis Hallman's calling. Hey, what's going on, Dennis?
Just meeting up with you guys, huh?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Doing well.
I just need you to
I lost my video. Hold on.
To add us here. If you can just add us so I can pull Ted in to our call. So I'm gonna hang up and just press add.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, so let me pull you into our call then.
Okay.
Ted.
Yo.
I just spoke to him. Let's try to pull him in.
Okay.
All right. Add people to this call. Oh, man. Here he is. All right. Nope, not Daniel Gallimore. Whoops.
Who the what the?
He trains with Travis Brown. He's actually with Travis Brown right now today. I stay up on all my fighters I interview. I always stay in touch with them.
That's good to do, man. That's good.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same, but unfortunately I can't.
Man, I'm trying to add him to the call. Add to call. Boom.
Do I need to add him? No, I already did add him.
Trying to pull him in. There's his name.
Pull you in. Well, grab a rope and I'll pull you in. Oh, I think I've got to add him now.
No, I think it's coming. Hey, what's going on, Dennis? How you doing?
I see his picture.
Hey, Dennis. I think it's ringing.
Huh? Does that mean he's in?
Hey, Dennis. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well.
I don't think your video camera's on. It was just working a minute ago. But guys, we got our guest of the night, Dennis Lloyd.
No, Dennis Hallman.
Dennis Lloyd Hallman.
Go.
Oh,
There it goes.
it's trying. The video's trying.
It's got me.
All right, man. Hey, so yeah, we'll just roll forward, and then if the video comes in later, that's cool. But yeah, Dennis, great to have you. And for those out there who don't know who Dennis Hallman is, I can't imagine that people don't. But anyway, for the new people new to the sport, you've been fighting for a long time, and you fought in the UFC and a billion other organizations. You're the only guy to ever submit Matt Hughes twice. You were on The Ultimate Fighter as part of Team Tate. And most recently, there was something that went down in India with one of your fighters, Hannah. Is it Kampf or Kampf?
It's Hannah Camp. She was not my fighter, but she was a U.S. fighter, and so I was cornering her.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought maybe she was with Victory Athletics, your academy in Washington State. But
No, she's from Montana.
Oh, okay. So you were cornering her at SFL, which is the Super Fight League in India, and she was fighting Asha Roka. She went for Hannah went for a takedown. Just to set this up, Hannah went for a takedown. Asha sank in a guillotine from bottom, pushed off the cage, and rolled over and got mount with the guillotine still sunk in. And then tell us what happened from there.
Yeah. Yeah, Asha got a pretty tight guillotine, and Hannah, instead of defending the guillotine right away, she finished the takedown. And so she was actually choked unconscious before she even hit the ground. So as Asha was rolling her over, she was already choked unconscious. And I noticed it pretty much immediately. I was like, okay, she's out. So I started waiting for the referee to stop the fight. And that's when the time started slowing down for me. Seconds started seeming like minutes.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people, the video was pretty widespreadly shared. They saw that the referee just didn't see what was happening. I don't think he missed some protocol. He's actually a good referee. Normally, he just had a bad match, and he was missing.
That's shocking.
Yeah, I mean, he had the worst match a referee's had in the history of refereeing. So, but
yeah.
still, he's not a bad referee. I've seen him make a lot of good calls. He just had a bad call that time. Unfortunately on live TV, and it's one of those things. But he just missed protocol. He didn't check the arm, the free hand. He didn't look at the feet and see how they were acting. He didn't. Most of the time when someone's getting choked in the guillotine, they grab the arm that's on their neck, and she wasn't doing any of that. And so he also wasn't positioned to see her face. She should have changed his position too. The cage was in the way, but still, you can step around. I think that he just, it's one of those things that can happen to a referee. They get too relaxed, and they forget that, people's lives are in their hands.
Yeah. So you threw in the towel, right? That's what happened next when you realized that the ref was
step on. The protocol, is to step up onto the apron, and that's what's supposed to stop in an MMA bout. It's what's supposed to stop the bout. If you can see me in the back, I'm on the apron. Like from when the video already is showing, I'm already on the apron because she was already out. And then I threw the towel, and my mind was working so fast before the towel even hit the ground. I was over the fence just because it was taking too long to hit the ground. I was starting to panic. So
right. So you got over the top of the fence? I forget now. I did watch the video today, but you went over the top of the fence?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't imagine that would be. How would that happen in I've never seen that. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen in the United States. Like that just I can't imagine that scenario where anyone would have to do that. That you would have to jump over the cage.
You know, I don't know if the scenario was set up any different than, I mean, the fights and the commission there was set up the same as they do in Washington State. You know, so it's just a matter of, you know, I think that one of the problems is like in America you can hear what's going on like fairly well around the cage. You know, if someone's screaming, then a referee can hear you. But over there they had like this music playing in the background, these huge banjo drums and stuff. You couldn't hear anything. So as I'm yelling, the referee, he didn't have a chance to hear me. No, so it was maybe that was the difference is that he couldn't hear anything either outside the cage.
So I got to ask you this, man. You know, you watch the crime shows and stuff like that. You see people get strangled and they pass out and die. I mean, how long do you have to really choke someone for something really significant like that to actually happen?
Well, you know, for somebody to die, like brain death is like I believe 3 minutes without blood to the brain,
Okay,
and
so that's a while.
you know, 5 minutes to actually die. So it's a long time. But you know, the first thing to go when your body starts to fight is, you know, start shutting down organs. You know, it's fight for blood for the brain, and you know, you lose control of your bodily functions. And the girl actually she peed herself. You didn't see that, but you know, she had no control over it. That's why if you watch the entire video, I throw the white flag around her back.
Okay.
That's so people can't see that at the, you know, the immediate moment. But you know, I didn't really think about how significant it was at the moment, but that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and you saved the night.
You know, I just trained what I was doing, what I was trained to do, I guess. I don't know. You're a fighter, and you know when someone goes out. You know, I've done this for 20, 21 years, and so, you know, I would hope somebody would do the same thing for me. And I don't know if it's saving the night, but maybe it's just that's what we would all do for each other, right?
Yep, I'd say so.
So Dennis, I mean, how would you describe the MMA where they are in mixed martial arts in India, like compared to the United States? You know, where we've been, you know, the UFC's been around since 1993. Are they, you know, way behind us as far as education for refs? You know, does Big John need to go over there and do a seminar or something, or what? Where are they at with all that?
See, Big John. I mean, there's commissions in the U.S. that could use Big John's help. You know, he's a fantastic referee, but the commission there's not let's say they know what the commission actually, the elected officials, they're pretty knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. They know what to call. They know the rules. The referees, like I said, the referee, that guy, he's one of the best referees in India. I probably is the best referee in India. If I had to pick somebody to ref my fight, I'd pick him. But he made the biggest blunder he could possibly make for the whole world to see. So no one's gonna, you know, no, he's not gonna get any slack from you know, his performance. People are gonna say he's the worst ref ever, but you know, it happens. But those referees definitely need seminars. They need to work more bouts, I think is what it is. You know, in America we have amateur fights. Fights are every weekend, all the time. You know, so those referees get a lot of work. Whereas the guys over there, you know, they've refereed probably less than 50 bouts each, you know, which is not very many. And so it's experience-wise for the officials. They need to work more for sure.
Okay.
But the fans over in India are probably the greatest fans you've ever seen. Like, it reminds me of a high school basketball game. Like, they have cheerleader guys that run back and forth, throwing their hands up in the air.
Really?
They're crazy. You know, in America, the production makes the signs for the people, for the fans. You know, when they're trying to show something to make it look like it's exciting. It's not really the fans that are making those signs. Not most of them. It's production. At least it was when they were coming through. You know, when you get the close-up stuff, even in football, they do that. But these fans, these fools will make like they watch you one fight and they're like super fans of you the rest of the the tournament. I mean, it was pretty interesting to see some of these American fans. These Indian guys would write their names on the sign. You know, Patrick Benson, you're the greatest, and hold this little sign up. It was pretty interesting.
Oh, that's great. Was that your first time ever over there for the SFL?
No, see the original the SFL that's hired now is actually the second owners of the original SFL. I went over there in 2012 and taught the first group of fighters in India. That was like SFL 1, 2, and 3. I taught a camp there for 3 months, and then that's what I did again this time. They brought me over for 7 weeks prior to the season to try to get the fighters caught up with trying to get them a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit more comfortable with fighting foreign fighters. And the fighters are the ones that work hard. They do well. The ones that didn't work hard, they got a group of 90 fighters, and maybe 30 of them worked hard. The others that they were learning how to work hard still. But the ones that worked hard, they did well.
So you ran this boot camp for all the fighters that were going to fight in the SFL season.
So all of the Indian fighters, not the foreign fighters.
Okay.
And then the group of foreign fighters from America that came over, they were people that I had that I knew from the Northwest, and so most of the fighters from America were from the Northwest. I helped procure them to compete.
So I've never been there. I don't really know what it's like over there, but I'm sure that you've went to go, at one of the gyms. What is it like? What's really different between a gym there and over here in the States?
So if I was to make a comparison, the U.S. would be like having a doctorate, graduated from college with a doctorate, and India would be like still struggling to graduate kindergarten.
Okay, yeah, because I spoke with a fighter that's over there in that area, and he was trying to explain it to me as well as he can without making it sound like they weren't experienced at all. But he was saying, we don't have much experienced guys to really train us over here. So what do you think they need to do to, step it up?
They need to do exactly what they did with me. Bring in guys like foreign guys to help coach these teams, and it's no one's going to jump in. The analogy I use, a kindergartner is not going to jump in and compete with a doctor, in anything. And something impressive was that Asha girl. She was a ranked boxer. I think she was ranked 13th in boxing, and just a phenomenal athlete. And most of those girls that she competed against were pretty green. Hannah Kampf actually is a tough girl. She made her pro debut there and was and won her first 2 fights. So that was I was impressed by how Asha did in comparison. And there was a couple of guys like Isaac Maheyu. He looked pretty good. A couple of decent Indian fighters that performed well, that were impressive. And but what makes guys better is mat time, and the more mat time you have, the better you're gonna get. And I think Jeff Gladnick said it well: if you can't fight on the ground, you can't fight. And so these guys need to realize that they need to spend their hours, because most of them have a lot of experience striking, but not a lot of experience on the ground. And they spend most of their time. So if I was their coach, I'd be making them spend most of their time learning ground fighting. Whereas the coaches that they do have, they are striking based guys, most of them, and so the guys aren't getting the mat time that they need to get better.
Well, that's interesting you say that, Dennis, because I thought Indians had a long history of wrestling. I thought there's
cushy wrestling mud. I went and did that. It was pretty interesting. It's just like a freestyle wrestling match in the mud. But like how American wrestling and Russian wrestling is pretty widespread through the community. Probably because we don't wrestle in the mud. So even the Indians, not all of them want to get dirty, So the wrestling that they do have is, it's filthy. So.
Another thing that really interests me, man, is what's going on over there with the female fighters. Do any of their beliefs kind of crash with or get in the way with performing or anything? Because I know that some of them can't show their faces; they have to wear the cloths. I mean, is it developed over there?
That's probably a um,
Isn't
what
that
do
more
you
the
even call
Middle
that?
East?
That's more
That's
Middle East.
I think
No,
so.
that's not in India, man. Like I've seen more people in America with the face masks on, the Muslim chicks, that more of that stuff than I have in India.
Oh wow.
Um, like
Yeah,
Pakistan would
they're
be where
Hindus over there.
Pakistan is where most of the Muslims went. Like and Pakistan seceded from India. That's why they're at war with each other over territory like that. But most of the Muslims went to Pakistan. I think it's like 14% of the population is Muslim over there, whereas like 80% is Hindi. So it's the girls thing is it is kind of strange. They're like every little because they're all about security there. Like you go into a public place, you got to go through a metal detector or whatever, and the girls have their own little metal detector, and they go inside some little dark like closed off area to get patted down, whereas the guys just walk in the line and get patted down normally. So
Wow. Well, hey,
there's some weirdness there, but it's not too awkward. It's the third world though, so when you're over there, you definitely realize that we're blessed to be in America.
you mentioned the ground game and how important it is, Dennis, and you should know you've got 41 submissions to your credit. How did you get your start? I think you started off as a wrestler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, see, like
but
what
then you
people
got
don't realize is that
jiu-jitsu.
yeah, no, it's not even that. It's wrestling. What people don't realize is where American wrestling came from. It came from catch wrestling. That's
Right.
where we're the only country in the world that does folk style wrestling, which is ground-based wrestling. And it's our wrestling that we do in collegiate is based from catch wrestling. And so we're basically, and then jiu-jitsu guys, it's the same thing, except for they're like the guys that got taken down, and so they learned how to do their grappling off their back, and the catch wrestling guys want to do the takedowns, and so they grappled off the top, and that's the American base. So when I
Explain that for
started,
people. What's catch wrestling for those who don't know?
catch wrestling is so up until the 1936 Olympics, right? You were allowed to do submissions in wrestling. So that explains it more. It's just over the last 100 years that they eliminated the submissions. So all wrestling is, if you look at it from this is how I approached it when I started in MMA, is I was suddenly allowed to do all of the moves that were called illegal for me all my life growing up. Now all the illegal moves are legal, and I can't be pinned. So that's the way I approached it, and it just all made sense to me. So I was able to, at 19, 20 years old, compete with guys that had been doing jiu-jitsu for quite a while, not because I was some jiu-jitsu phenom. It was just because I approached the sport of grappling, from a standpoint of I'd rather be on top, but if I can't be pinned, and it's just wrestling and everything illegal is now legal.
And were there any catch wrestling guys that you learned from? Like you hear about guys like Billy Robinson and Luthez, and were there any guys that or Carl Gotch, any guys that you came in contact with like that, old style wrestlers?
Yeah, if you look through the lineage, like Matt Hume went over to Japan and learned some from those guys, those catch wrestler guys that learned from the name catch wrestlers, and I worked with him. He really he helped me understand the hip positioning, the correct hip positioning better. I picked it right up, but it was the little things that he taught me, not necessarily big moves, but actually concepts and fundamentals that he helped me understand. And it really, grappling, that's really what it is. Everybody knows all the different moves, but if you understand the concepts and the fundamentals, the concepts of when to use the moves, and how they affect you, and the percentages of the sport, like high risk, low percentage moves, you want to stick to those. Understanding what each move is, that's the key to grappling. Josh Barnett and I, Josh is a big known catch wrestler, but we're from
Right.
learned the same style from the same guy.
Oh, that's true. He started with Matt Hume as well, and then I guess later on hooked up with Eric Paulson.
Yep.
And now Josh, I heard Josh has split off and he's doing his own thing.
I'm sure he is. I mean, he's a talented kid. He could do his own thing for sure.
So a lot of our viewers and listeners that are tuning in right now probably remember you from that season of Ultimate Fighter as well. What was that experience like for you, man? I mean, was this your first time really around like the production of a TV set and all that, like kind of behind the scenes?
No, I mean, I guess from like a reality show was, but I had been around, a lot of the guys. They did the IFL and I've been in a lot of the little spin-offs that they tried to that never really made it big of MMA reality, I guess reality based. There was something called Valor that they tried to do some reality thing out of. So it wasn't my first, but it was the first major production I was around. But it was no different than we've been fighting around TV cameras and doing interviews and all that our whole careers, so it wasn't no different than anything we'd already done.
And so what happened with you got to tell us for those who don't know, who didn't see the footage, the whole thing with you and Edmund Tarverdian, aka Count Chocula.
Yeah, that guy was real weird. So he like I came there and Brian Caraway is a good friend of mine. And they told me that the guy the night before I got there, he was trying to like pick a fight with Brian. Well, I show up there, and the guy kept looking at me like I don't know, like I was dating his mom. And of course, he's looking at me. I'm like, "Hey, stare hard, retard." He's like, "What did you say?" Started, and then I think they caught a little glimpse of it. But he tried to be. He's a guy that I call like a background tough guy. He's like the guy at the bar that will be. If you bump into him and he starts screaming real loud, "Come on, why'd you bump into me?" So everybody hears him, so he doesn't get beat up. That's kind of how that Edmund guy is. He's loud and wants to be, make sure everybody notices him so he doesn't get his ass kicked in private. So I told him, like, he was talking about how he was going to do whatever he was going to do. And so I didn't think that to this day, I know we wouldn't have got in trouble if we would have went in there and I would have beat his ass in the cage. No one would have said anything. We're two grown men. We get in the cage and whether it's during a live bout or not, no one's gonna get in trouble. Right. Grumpy little Rhonda, she wanted to make her little show of it, whatever. But
right, she kind of white lighted in there. She got in your face and yeah, she just. I don't know. I wasn't impressed with that. You know what I mean? But it was totally her persona.
That guy let a girl talk for him. The guy let a girl talk for him. I mean, what kind of panty waste does that? Right. Oh, I'm gonna let my girl coach go and stand in my way. You want to know if Misha ever tried to do that to me? I'd be like, Misha, you better sit down. I'd knock the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, she was just hanging back, she was letting you handle your business.
Yeah, I mean, Misha and Brian, they lived in my backyard for 2 years, so they know that I'm not like if you're gonna talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. That's kind of like the way that I was raised, and that's the way that it's a matter of principle. You would never see me do the things that he did and not throw down. I'm not gonna ask somebody or tell somebody I'm gonna call them later. Who does that? Oh, I'm gonna fight you later, later on outside. Like, why even say anything if you're gonna do it? But it is what it was. The guy was a pussy.
Made for some good TV though.
Yeah, that guy's not very popular anymore, is he?
No, only for his head movement.
Head movement. How about you tell that girl who's a world-class judo to clinch? How about that?
Yeah, clinch.
How about walk across the ring and grab the boxing girl's hands and then take her down, Rhonda, instead of standing there getting sucked in the mouth? But I don't know. My personal opinion on that fight is if Rhonda fought her again, that Rhonda would beat her, just because if she had a coach that taught her how to do the zombie style, walk across the ring, grab the girl that's punching her in the face with arms instead of not, instead of standing in front of her, how about you just keep walking towards somebody? It's illegal to clinch in boxing because nobody can box if you clinch them, you know?
Right.
So instead of standing in front of somebody, let them hit you. How about you grab them? They're going to hit you one time before you can grab them, unless you're, extra on the handicap channel.
Oh, so you think if she fought Nunes again, she would win?
Yeah, man, if she did what she did in her early fights, like when she'd like lead with her butt and then grab people instead of trying to stand in front of them and do what she's not good at doing, she's not a striker, dude. How about you? See, the thing that people don't realize is if somebody wants to grapple you, the striker can't stop it from happening. It's illegal to clinch in boxing because you can't box when somebody clinches you. You can't. It stifles the game. Everybody can do that in MMA. They don't do it because people like to throw bombs, I guess. But if you're fighting somebody who is that much superior to you at striking, why in the world would you stand in front of them? Well, the only way you're gonna get knocked out is if you stand in front of somebody when they're throwing punches at you. And
yeah, I guess she just fell in love with her hands.
She did, man, and I still think that she's better. That she would, if she gets anybody on the ground, that girl is going to beat 99% of the people. But forget what got you there, then I guess nobody's going to help you. Especially when you got some fake boxing guy telling you that you're world class. Oh, you could knock out freaking what's her name, Layla Ali. Come on.
So where are you right now, Dennis? Are you still over there, or are you back in the States right now?
I'm back where you can breathe the air. I'm back in the Northwest.
So what's your next venture here? I mean, when's the next time that we're going to be seeing you around?
See, right now there's talk about a Super Fight League is going to try to bring their Fight League concept to the U.S. That's a possibility. I know that they're going to go back at the end of this year to India. I hope I'm a part of that. A lot of the Indian guys are just really, it's really easy to take a liking to. So I have a good bond with a good group of guys over there that I enjoy coaching. So we'll go from there.
Well, what we like to do. I'm sorry, Dennis.
I said just kind of see where the world will take me.
So what we like to do at this point in the interview, we got the live open chat room. If anyone's got a question for you in there, and then of course Ted, you got anything for Dennis?
Well, I got to ask Dennis about the Speedo. Because I got to ask you this, Dennis. You've probably been through it a million times, but I think it was UFC 133. You wore a Speedo. And Dana White was pissed off at that. But you said you lost a bet. What was the bet over?
I'm not at liberty to say that, but I'll tell you what. So me and my friends are pretty crude, right? So my one buddy, if he would have lost, there's a 69-year-old woman that he was going to have to procure.
Oh, come on.
Lucky I'm the guy that lost.
All right. Well, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah. So you know why I had to do it, because I would have made for sure him do it.
That was awesome.
All right, fair enough. So Dennis, are you officially retired, and you're settled in as a coach, or do you ever think that you might get back in the cage? I mean, because we've seen guys have a career resurgence, in their 40s.
Yeah. I mean, I just turned 41. See, the night before at weigh-ins that I fought John Fitch, tore my bicep, but they brought me in as a replacement for that guy, and so I wasn't gonna out, and I never got my bicep. It tore like it was a partial tear, so it's actually I'll give you a little sample here. So I don't know if you can see it. No, you probably can't even tell.
Well, we can actually only see your photograph. For some reason, the video is not coming through.
My video's coming through, and there's a little cartoon picture of Evil Eddie, but I can see.
That's how it is.
But I mean, I just wasn't able to train, and I was still trying to fight, and my mind was in a different place, so I was kind of just burned out on fighting pretty much, and lately, it was kind of going to Indian training. Those guys kind of put a little fire under me. I'm gonna try to do some grappling tournaments and see how that goes. see how my body holds up, and you know, continue to eat right because I have celiac disease, and it's harder to eat right than it is to train as a professional fighter, man. I tell you, cutting out gluten and doing all sorts of crazy stuff is more difficult than training, which is not an easy thing either. But I'm gonna try to just see how things roll. Definitely gonna do some more grappling first, but I'd like to fight. I don't want to go out. I mean, I lost a bunch of fights to guys that are not on my level. There's but it is what it is. They were better those days, but it's kind of a hard thing to accept. That getting old and understanding that if you're not hungry, that hungrier guy is gonna steal your lunch. And so if I can get that back through grappling first, then yeah, I'd like to fight. I'd like to fight somebody. I'd like to actually fight in the Super Fight League, just to, I don't know, maybe go over there and make my mark over there before I'm done. I fought everywhere else that I could fight, so it'd be kind of cool to fight over there.
Nice. Hey, Dennis, by the way, I wanted to let you know about Ann Hill. She's one of our fans, or one of our friends. She's more than a fan; she's a friend, and she lives in Oregon. So she really loves the Pacific Northwest, and so she wanted to say hi to you.
Well, hello, Ann. Thanks for saying hi. And the air here, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't been up here, the air here is, after being in India, in New Delhi, India, the most polluted city in the world, where if you go outside without a gas mask or like a little cloth mask around, by the end of the day you'll have black boogers in your nose.
Wow.
I'm going from that back to the purest air. I'm not joking, man. Back to the purest air of the world, up here in the Northwest, and man, it makes me want to bottle this air up and bring it down there and share it with those guys. It's great to be home.
That's quite a thing. Some black boogers at the end of the day. That's serious. I would freak out.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, dude, just from being outside, man. Just from being outside.
Wow.
Hey, you should have the guys from India come over to the United States and train with you.
I got that going up. We got that rolling on right now. I got a couple guys that are working on getting their visas.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what we like to do at this point. I'm sorry, Dennis.
Go ahead.
So
I said they get to drink some clean water when they get here. But go ahead, Evil Eddie.
There you go. So what we like to do at this point in the interview is we hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you have any sponsors, any shout outs, anything you want to get on the table to let listeners and of course your fans know about, the floor is all yours now.
I don't really have much to say. I mean, this is I like to thank God because He's the maker of all of us. But other than that, I just hope everybody understands that we try our hardest and do our best, and that's what will make you happy. If you strive to be the best at something, that nothing can really stop you from doing that except for yourself.
I love that. I'll take that to heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, that was great, and yeah, we appreciate everything that you've done over the years with your fight career. For sure, putting it out there in the cage as many times as you have. I mean, I think 70 more than 70 fights. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, man. I probably have like 30 on there that aren't even marked. Same with Josh Barnett. Like Josh got a bunch. Like all of us guys in the Northwest, we were fighting. We have so many more fights than they have on their little Sure Dog stuff. But yeah, it was different fights back then too. Like I fought this kid Lee Remedios one time. We were allowed to kick in the balls. I booed that kid so hard in the balls just because.
Oh my God.
He ended up fighting in the UFC actually too.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that guy from some years ago, Lee Remedios.
Yeah. Him and I fought in some little underground warehouse in Canada, and we were allowed to boo in the balls. And I was like, I got to do this because we're allowed.
Just because you can.
Yeah. Funny.
That's awesome.
That one moment in life, you were like, yeah, go for it. All right, man. So thank you so much for coming on Evil Intoxicated. We wish you the best of your journey that you got going on. And we really appreciate you coming on. So have a great night and a great future.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good night.
All right, Ted, so I'm going to bring you back in. I got to hang up. I'm going to take our listeners with me for a second, and we're going to jump right back into things. All right, guys, so let's give Ted back a call. Of course, I just got a tweet from one of our listeners telling us that, we didn't finish the card, that there's still some stuff to talk about. And, of course, we did not forget that. Tim Means going up against Cowboy Oliveira here. Let's jump right back into things here. So, Ted,
yes.
I was just getting a tweet from one of our listeners that said, hey, guys, you forgot about the Tim Means fight. We got to jump into that rematch. Of course, Tim Means getting his foot caught in the cage. They're having that whole rematch now.
Bring me up to date on that, man. I'm a little fuzzy on that.
Vitor Belfort, Kelvin Gastelum card.
Right.
Cowboy Oliveira versus Tim Means.
Okay, the first fight, he had his foot caught in the cage, so they're gonna run it back, huh?
They're running it back, and I think that's only fair.
Tim Means, the Dirty Bird.
The Dirty Bird. Let me make sure I'm right with that. Just want to make sure that I'm right. That's on this card because he did tweet me. I do know that fight is coming up, but I didn't know it was on this card.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So here we go.
Say, man. I can't remember.
Live on FS1 UFC Fight Night, Belfort versus Gastelum, March 11th, 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Time Pacific. Let's see what we got here. Kelvin Gastelum, Belfort, first fight. The second fight, Shogun Rua versus Vellante. We talked about that.
Right.
Third fight, let's jump into this one. Edson Barboza versus Beneil Dariush, Ted.
Yeah.
Barboza is a killer no matter who you put him up against, but Dariush, man, he's been around for quite some time. Only lost twice.
Yeah,
he's very intelligent. He's a fast fighter. But Edson Barboza, man, very creative, and you got to watch out for his kicks.
Well, that's true. You do. I just think that Dariush is going to be a bad matchup for Barboza. I'm just my gut. You know what I'm saying? It's just what I'm feeling. He's he's one of these. It's a clash of styles for sure because it's going to be whoever can whoever can work their style first.
Yeah.
Barboza likes to keep the distance so he can get those kicks going. Dariush wants to get up close to you. He's aggressive. He wants to clinch. He wants to throw some knees. He wants to get the takedown. That kind of a thing. I believe he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, although he has been submitted once, but that can happen to anybody. But that's what he wants to do. And he has the I think his last fight was a unanimous decision.
2-fight win streak right now. Both guys are.
Right. So unanimous decision over Rashid Magomedov, and then a knockout over James Vick.
Which was huge.
Yep. So I just think it's just a bad matchup for Barboza.
I'm agree with you on that one, Ted. And this is a great fight for Beneil to move up their rankings. Barboza ranked 5th right now, which really surprises me. He, of course, is coming off a win over Gilbert Melendez, and before that, Showtime Pettis. So that's a lot to show for there, Edson Barboza.
Right.
His last loss was to Ferguson.
That's true. Yeah, he had both of those wins were unanimous decision wins over Gilbert and Pettis. I mean, you could kind of make the argument, well, both of those guys have kind of seen better days. You know what I mean? That they seem to be, not to say that they couldn't turn things around, but that they seem to kind of be at low points in their careers at this point.
I guess you could say that.
Melendez and Pettis.
Yeah, I understand. I know we might get backlash for you saying that, but I totally understand what you mean there. I mean, he is ranked 5th right now. He's an explosive fighter, but I totally catch your drift with, if it was a different day. If this was
trying to diminish his wins.
Yeah. So also there, I'm going to lean with you on that one, Ted. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Edson Barboza, but Dariush, just my gut feeling, without looking too deep into it and really replaying their last couple of fights back on Fight Pass, I'm going to lean with you on that. So
all right.
Let's see what else is on this card. We don't really need to talk about anything. Formiga versus Borg is on there, another rank. Betchko Hea versus Marion Renault. You guys can check out Pure Evil MMA if you want to hear about the rest of this card, because it kind of broke that down. And then Charles Oliveira versus Tim Means, the Dirty Bird, the rematch. They're running it back here. I'm excited for that one.
It's on that card.
Yeah, it is on this card. So good pointing that out. Also, Trinaldo versus Lee is on this card. There's a lot of good fights here. that
Well,
it's free.
They stack it with Brazilians because it's in Brazil.
You got to do it, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is an exciting card, and we're going to be breaking it down on their odds show and also Pure Evil MMA podcast. I told you guys I've been a little sick with a migraine trying to upload it. It keeps giving me this yellow triangle thing, so I got to fix it after we get off here, and I'll upload
Watch
that.
out for that yellow triangle, man. It'll get you every time.
Watch out for the yellow triangles. You got to watch out for them. Like your grandmother always told you.
Oh, Ann is saying the odds are negative or minus 175 for Barbosa, Dariush, plus 10. So that means Barbosa is favored, but not by a whole lot.
And I love it. And that's something I've been looking into recently is looking at the odds and trying to understand that kind of fight fan, the odds fans. So I'm trying to give you guys what you want here with the odds, and we're going to be doing that on the weigh-in day. So that's going to be coming out right here on our Pure Evil MMA channel on iTunes and Podbean. So look out for that. But yeah, Ted, this is a great card, man. Great headliners, Vitor and Kelvin. That's definitely gonna deliver.
Oh, I think so.
And then you got Shogun. I mean, that's gonna be a great card.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it.
We got a couple of weeks here, Ted, with fights back to back. I mean, following next weekend, we got Manua versus Corey Anderson, and then after that, UFC 210, DC versus Johnson 2.
And a lot of people are looking ahead to 211.
Wow.
They're saying UFC 211 is going to be fan-frickin-tastic. At least on paper. It's got a lot of great fights.
So check this out. Not this weekend's fights. We just reviewed that. But next weekend, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to give you guys a really in-depth breakdown. Alan Jouban versus Gunnar Nelson is on that card. Brad Pickett in his last fight as well. Joe Duffy, the Irish Joe Duffy, is on there. Breeze versus Bamboje is on that card. I'm going to try to get Bamboje on the card. He kind of owes me a favor for something I did with him. And then Lena Landsberg also is going to be joining us as well on Pure Evil MMA. Who's going to be on
what
next
card are you talking about there with all those guys?
Free on FS1 March 18th from London, England at the O2 Arena. Manuel versus Corey Anderson.
All right, I got you now. I'm with you.
So I got two fighters that are going to be coming on that show. And also Desmond Green was on last week's episode of Pure Evil MMA. He'll also be on UFC 210, which is coming up. So that's going to be a fun one as well. Weidman's on that card. And Burgos versus Rosa. I spoke with Rosa and Burgos. So I'm excited, man. I like talking to these fighters. Man.
You are making the rounds.
Yes, I am, and I'm going to be trying to book some an interview. This is something me and Ted talked about, guys. We want to book interviews for every one of these shows on Evil Intoxicated because
absolutely
it makes things, it helps us out, and kind of gives you guys the insider info.
Right. I mean, Eddie, you and I are exciting dudes, but we need fighters on here. We need guests. So I think it just helps. It just accentuates the show even more.
Yeah. And that's something we tried out early on with Nick Newell. We had a couple people have on earlier on. Brandon, right? Brandon Barrett was on.
Yep, Brendan Barrett.
Who else did we have on the show early on in back in the day?
It was so long ago.
Well, we're about to be at episode 40, so this is a big deal, Ted. Next week's episode, we got to do something special.
Yes,
I told everyone last week. Me and Ted are going to figure something out for you guys. It's a big surprise episode.
I don't know what kind of special you're thinking about, but sure.
We're gonna give it to you. All right. So what else do we got on this news list? We got some fight announcements coming our way, and then we're gonna wrap up the show there for you. So hang out with another 15 minutes here with me and Ted. And we're going to get you up to date with some fight announcements here.
Right. Let's see here. I've got Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier.
No date on that yet, though, right?
No, UFC 211.
They did book it. Because I heard it was a verbal agreement.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think it's 211.
Where is 211, if you don't mind me asking, Ted? Do you know?
I don't be asking at all, Eddie. It's in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's in Big D.
The Big D?
Yeah. So May 13th. Yeah, right. So Eddie is ranked number 3 in the lightweight division, and Poirier is number 10.
Let's try to push one of those guys on. I mean, I actually do have a connection for Eddie Alvarez to try to get him on. That would be really awesome.
I think, you know what? I think years ago I might have interviewed Eddie.
He's from your area.
Well, yeah, Philly. Sure.
Isn't that funny? No one understands. I mean, I've interviewed so many guys by now that I forget everyone I've interviewed. That's crazy that you forgot if you interviewed Eddie Alvarez, though, man.
I think I interviewed him not for
Bellator.
a podcast, but for a magazine article.
When he was in Bellator, obviously.
Yeah.
Way back when they were doing those pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Alvarez versus Michael Chandler.
Right. That was so he was still living in Philly at the time, and then he moved down to Florida to train with the Black Zillions, but now he's back
wars. There's so many fans out there, Ted, that will never see the Eddie Alvarez wars that he's been in. People don't give him credit in the UFC. They really don't.
And I mean, even prior to Bellator, he had a number of fights. You know, he was just fighting in all sorts of smaller organizations. So the guy's been around for a long time.
So who else do we got announced as upcoming fights here?
Oh, hey, real quick. So 211 already has Miocic versus JDS. Then Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Jessica Andrade.
I can't wait for that, man.
And Maya versus Masvidal.
Finally, somebody for Joanna champion that people can actually kind of be nervous about her going in there against.
Yeah, I mean, she's just...
Andrade looks great at this weight, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Well, sure. Absolutely, man. But, she's very, muscle bound, right? So it's going to be interesting to see.
The Muay Thai of Joanna.
If she can carry that, if she can carry that through, can she go 5?
Those elbows. I love Joanna, man.
Go 5 rounds. That's my question. Okay, so also at 211 we have David Branch, your buddy from WSOF.
His first fight here.
Stefan Jotko. David Branch has not been in the UFC in about 13 fights.
Wow.
So he went 2-2 in the UFC. They cut him, and then he went and became a dual champion in WSOF.
Yeah, I was just ringside at his last fight at Madison Square Garden for New Year's.
That was it. He said I'm done. He got into some type of conflict with them, and he got the heck out of Dodge.
Little update for our World Series of Fighting fans out there. I heard a rumor that Justin Gaethje actually is going to have one more fight with them, and then maybe possibly move. And it would be a shame if he did, because that's one of their bigger champions is Justin over there. And then Marlon Moraes, we still don't know what's going on with him. So big things to come.
You said it would be a shame, but I mean, Gaethje, I'd be real interested to see how he stacks up against the guys in Bellator, how he stacks up against the guys in UFC,
He's got an exciting style, but a very dangerous kind of a style in the UFC, I think.
He might have to modify things, but maybe he doesn't know anything else, you know what I mean? I mean, I think if he gets with the right team.
Well, he trains with Justin Wren. He trains with Josh the Cuddly Bear Copeland. I mean, he trains with a good group of dudes.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's why we wouldn't it be great to see him up against? How would he stack up?
And those are big dudes. Let's not forget.
Right, but no, I mean, with his style, how would that fare in the UFC?
Yeah,
Okay. Also, Henry Cejudo versus Sergio Pettis.
I love it, man. Sergio Pettis finally getting a big shot here, putting things together on the little streak that he's on.
Yep.
This is a big fight for him if he can beat the former Olympic medalist. I keep saying that. I said it on the podcast. I just said it again. The Olympic champion.
Yeah, he didn't make gold, right? He was
silver or bronze, I believe. Yeah. I think bronze, actually.
That one is. They're talking about that for 211 as well. And then we have Platinum Mike Perry versus Jake the Juggernaut Ellenberger.
I love that fight for Perry, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a banger.
To remind everybody about Mike Perry's last fight, he had a big performance, leading up to it, and then going up against Alan Jouban. Alan Jouban just had a different level above him. So let's see what he can do against Ellenberger here.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be going down UFC Nashville, April 22nd on Fox Sports 1. I like Mike Perry's chances here.
Yeah, me too.
You know, Ellenberger is a wrestler who fell in love with his hands.
He
but,
left Edmonds, though.
What's that?
He did leave Edmond.
Oh, he did leave.
He left Edmond.
All right, so maybe he'll be able to turn things around because everybody who goes to Edmond ends up losing.
And didn't he just come off the win against Matt Brown as well? The knockout win? Jake Ellenberger?
Ellenberger. Okay, I think so. But I don't see him. I don't see it going that way against Perry.
Yeah.
You know, Ellenberger's hot and cold. You know, he really is hot and cold. I don't think I have the paper here in front of me, but I looked at it and he was like, win 2, lose 1, you know, lose 2, win 3. You know, I mean, like, I don't know that anybody has had. I don't want to say, you know, ever, but I mean, that guy has really had his ups and downs in the UFC. I mean, if you go back like a dozen fights, and it's like that, it's a seesaw.
Well, that's what it is in the UFC, man. Pretty much everyone in the UFC is a champion from somewhere, some organization. You're fighting champions every time you step in there. So you really got to put a streak together. That's how this game works.
Right. But I think Mike Perry. I think Ellenberger is he's a wrestler, right? He's a wrestler who then, you know, developed his hands, but I think he's going to get...
He was really headhunting in his last fight. He was just walking around headhunting.
I think he's going to do the same thing. He's going to get sucked into a brawl with Perry, and I think Perry is just going to knock him out.
Can't wait, man. I love it. He just walks around mean mugging the dude as he walks around. Punch him, he'll take it. He just keeps coming. He just keeps coming.
Right.
Love it.
Yep. That's what Perry wants. I mean, Joe Bond wasn't going to play that game.
He slowed down significantly later on in that fight, though, because Alan Joe Bond just broke him down.
Right. But, I mean, yeah, Joe Bond had him scouted. Joe Bond was more technical and you know, was not going to engage in an all-out, you know, fight in a phone booth.
Yeah.
With Perry. That's what Perry wants. Perry's like, come into the phone booth with me. So either you do or you don't.
So, Ted, as we get towards the end of the show here, almost 3-hour mark here, what else do we got? Any more developments on the any more fights that came out?
That was it as far as new fights that I've seen. The only other thing we really need to talk about quickly would be Big Ben Rothwell.
Yeah.
Who was flagged for potential USADA violation.
I was literally about to bring that up. I didn't know if we talked on that yet.
No, we have not.
Okay.
I know it's been such a long show. We forgot what we started off the show with.
It doesn't even seem like that. I feel so much better now. Like I feel this beats anything. This really does. I want to thank everybody for tonight. You know, it has been a long show, but I've loved every minute of it. My girlfriend's got guests outside the studio here. They're out there coughing and laughing, and I'm having a blast in here. They don't know what they're missing out on. So I want to thank you guys for that.
So Big Ben Rothwell flagged, and he already responded to it. He said, hey, I've been under the care of a physician, and we've heard that before. Cyborg, anyone?
Yep.
Remember Cyborg? Same thing.
Well, let's not throw Big Ben under the bus.
I'm not throwing Big Ben. I'm not doing that to you, man. No, this is what he's saying. I was under the care of a doctor. I'm trying to get over a medical illness. I did not cheat. So he said that on his Facebook. So, you know, let's take it at face value. Okay, let's see where this goes. Because, you know, the criticism, one of the criticisms of USADA is they blast this out there. They go, oh, this dude failed a potential, you know, he's been flagged. And immediately it's like guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. I brought that up during this week's episode, Ted. That was like the highlight of the show. Of like, I want you guys to understand.
Have to go public with it.
Don't
initially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we have a suspicion, and now we're going to go investigate. Instead of okay, we'll keep the flag to ourselves and investigate, and then if we find out, yeah, for sure, then we go public with it.
But at the same time,
backwards.
They kind of owe us to let us know what's going on with the fighters as well. But people need to learn not to throw them under the bus, really. You know, or there needs to be a better way of going about it, right?
It's a good point. But the other thing I have to bring up is in 2013, Ben Rothwell was he was suspended for 9 months for a violation. The UFC, I guess he's from Wisconsin. and his home state's athletic commission, they did the UFC overrode the Wisconsin. This is before USADA came into the whole mix, and so the UFC were the ones who suspended him for 9 months. See, he was on TRT. Okay. He was on TRT, but his level, he still had a threshold to meet, and he went above that. His levels were too high, even to be being on TRT. He went above that level, so that's why he got whacked, and he was over the limit.
You're over the limit, the TRT limit.
Now he says he's afflicted with hypergonadism, which is a front that
gonad.
Hypergonadism,
Which is what?
You gonad. Yeah, that used to be an insult. You gonad.
Yeah, you gonad. I remember that in the playground days.
Right. So,
Where
but
I
he
spent
says
most
he's
of my
afflicted
days.
Hypergonadism from a crash back in 1999 that gave him some severe head trauma.
Wow.
But I looked it up because I wanted to know what is hypergonadism. A couple of the things that it does do for you is it gives you elevated levels of testosterone and a high libido. So I'm thinking, what's the harm in that? You know,
Big Ben.
I mean, that is true, but I'm sure there are negative effects, and I don't mean to make light of it. But
Yeah.
so hopefully this all gets worked out because he has a fight coming up, right?
Well, against Verdum. Yeah.
Verdum? Yeah, he's supposed to be fighting Verdum. I forget when it is. It's at 211, May 13th. So hopefully they get this figured out quickly so that fight is. I mean, if you know what I mean,
That's
so
a
that we
big
know that we figure it out here. So if the fight's on, then the fight's on. You know?
I mean, I was really impressed with Big Ben Rothwell in 2016 and 2015, what he was putting together, choking dudes out with that go-go choke, choking out Josh Barnett. That was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Crazy.
And his laugh that he has that evil.
Yeah. You know, he walks out. You know that song that he walks out to is actually a Phantom of the Opera song?
No, I did not know that.
Go check out his walkout music. It's so weird. It's Phantom of the Opera music. It's perfect.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy. So Ted, I think that does it for our conversation today. You know what we like to do? Hand it over to the chat room if anyone is hanging out with us. If you guys got any questions, it's over to you. But in the meantime, I'm going to give that a second here to catch up. But make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA. You want to follow me on my personal page? It's Evil_Echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. That's where I usually am at, but I will tag me at Pure Evil MMA on Facebook, Instagram, and make sure you follow Ted as well. Ted, where can everybody find you?
It's at Ted Czech, TEDCZECH. Of course, I'm on YouTube as well, pumping out videos.
Yeah, what did you do this week on your channel? What can everybody go over and check out?
Today I did a video on Mike Perry and Jake Ellenberger.
I like what you've been doing too with your work videos as well. Very professional, put together. I like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Eddie is talking about the weekly crime wrap up because my other job is I'm a newspaper reporter.
Some pretty good headlines in there too.
And so yeah, so I do a weekly crime wrap up, but it's like all the weird, funny, stupid criminal type of stuff that we have going on here.
Yeah, like what was one that stood out this week? Just to give our listeners a little flavor, a little taste.
Oh, let's see here.
I saw a couple of wild ones.
Oh my God, what have we had that I had one. Oh, Crazy Eyes. This woman, she's like this. She's like smiling.
Yeah, I saw her
mugshot.
I saw her mugshot.
Yeah. So I call it Crazy Eyes. Yeah, she apparently was doing a lot of marijuana. And
what? Don't look at what?
Marijuana. You know that stuff.
She lost her mind from marijuana. That's the first case of that I've ever heard.
Smoking some trees and allegedly. And
something else. Smoke something else.
Nearly ran over a cop because he got out of his car and he was like, okay, you're gonna roll down the window, and so then she put it in reverse, and then she put it in drive, and then she took off, and
Wait, so was she smoking in the car? Was that the excuse, or was she saying that it was because she was high? that she was doing that. That's retarded. I don't want to use that word. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous for her to say that.
Well, no, she didn't say any. They didn't quote her as saying anything. It was just, there was a suspicious vehicle, so the officer went to check it out, and he could see the smoke just like
okay. So she was
the car.
She was on a burn cruise. She was. That's funny.
Right. I mean, hey, if you're gonna do that, great. Don't get into a car because it's still impairment.
Yeah.
It's not drinking, but it can still screw with your depth perception and stuff like that. Things I hear, as I understand, where they're either closer or further away than they really, it messes with how you view objects and things like that. So,
I would think you'd get a little more paranoid when you drive a little slower, keep a little more distance. I don't know.
It's a bad idea. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do that, do it in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Anyway. So, let's...
or eat some ganja gummies.
If you're into that type of thing, apparently they make gummies now. That's what I understand. It's what I hear.
All right, guys. So, is there any questions that we got in the chat room building up, Ted?
And put out a bunch of things. Pat was saying, great show. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate it.
Pat's back.
Pat is back. He was back.
What's your pick for Belfort versus Gastelum? We know what round, but who are you going for on that one? And you too.
Me?
I want to know what you guys are thinking about that. But what are they saying in the chat room here, Ted?
Oh well, they're not talking about that. But Pat is saying, do you want to see Khabib versus Wonder Boy, or Khabib versus Lawler, or Ferguson? Ferguson versus Wonder Boy,
We're
or
matching
Lawler
up all these weight classes, huh?
Lawler versus Ferguson. Well, I mean, they're all welterweights, right?
Oh, what?
Oh, no,
Ferguson is lightweight.
He's saying Khabib is. I mean, I guess Pat's assuming that Khabib is going to move up to welterweight.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I've heard they're gonna rebook Khabib versus Ferguson, but we'll see. Oh, and Pat says Gastelum KO round 1. I know you're shocked.
Okay. Well, wow. So Belfort is gonna get caught. He's gonna get the first round, which usually is his advantage, right?
I'd say Gastelum TKO round 2.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. That's what we usually see in Belfort lately, as for his last couple of losses. But let's not discredit him too much here.
Ann says, no, I don't. But I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now look at it objectively. I'm thinking Gastelum with the win. Ann is saying she's got Kelvin as well for the win. So,
I mean, he's been impressing everybody. The one thing that everybody was getting a little frustrated with Kelvin about was the weight cut thing and missing weight, right?
And now he's up to 185. And
besides that, he looks amazing.
And I don't think he had to cut a whole bunch of weight for the Kennedy fight, right?
No, I don't. I think he barely had to cut anything.
That's because he's got Econo-ass.
I was about to say, make sure you guys remember to use hashtag Econo-ass and hashtag Manlit from now on.
I love it.
I wrote those down. I had to. There was a couple other good ones that I'll have to replay tomorrow morning when I listen to this back. But guys, I had a great night with everybody. We'll take one more question from anybody that's in the chat room before we sign off here.
Oh, well, okay. Well, let's answer that question. Khabib versus Wonder Boy, Khabib versus Lawler, Ferguson versus Wonder Boy, Lawler versus Ferguson. What do I want to see? I mean, I guess I do want to see Khabib versus Fergie.
That's all I want to see is Khabib versus Fergie. What were the other options in there?
Lawler's in there.
Lawler versus who?
How about Lawler versus Wonder Boy?
I mean, that is the next matchup. I assume they just had pictures of Robbie Lawler back in the gym, Ted. So something's bubbling, something's working there. But we don't know where he's training, though. He left American Top Team. And he was training with Adidas gloves. He was repping all Adidas, which I thought was pretty funny.
Wow, that's so some clues there. We're gonna have to investigate.
Yeah, we got some clues. Oh, guys, and don't forget, we got to retweet Ted's tweet out. Ted, why don't you remind our listeners on what they need to do?
Yeah. All right. So if you go to my Twitter at TEDCZECH, I tweeted Marcin Tybura, who is a Polish UFC fighter, because I was asking him about Charlize Theron, who went like that to him during his fight. So I want to know why. Now, I mean, I tweeted Charlize Theron, but she's probably not going to answer anybody because, you know, she's an actor.
Charlize Theron.
Because she's Charlize Theron. But Marcin Tarbura, I think we have a better shot. So if you retweet my tweet to him, maybe we can get an answer out of him. Because I have to know.
Does it have to be in Polish? Does he know English? It will translate it, right?
Either he knows English or he's got the translate thing going, because I think a lot of his tweets are in English.
Yeah, that's awesome that we have technology that can do that for us now, so we can all just talk with one another right through here, right? Oh, my freaking sticker's fading away there. My evil hand. I'm going to have to get a new one. Shout out to all of our listeners, Ted. I don't know if I told you yet, but we named the rat Valentina, V for short, in case you guys missed last week's show. Yeah. I addressed that. So shout out to our listeners who helped with that name there. We got her on Valentine's Day. She actually ran around the studio while I was recording the other day. I'm going to get the podcast up, episode 39 of Pure Evil MMA with Caleb Bourne from Shamrock FC, and also one more guest that's going to be joining me as well. That's coming up right after this. Make sure you guys subscribe down below here on Ted's page, and also Pure Evil MMA on iTunes and Podbean.com. We do the show live every Wednesday night. I'm Evil Eddie from FrontProofMedia.com. That's Ted Czech, and we're out.